Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of our spaced out radio fans as we say goodbye to the Christmas holiday and get ready for New Year's. How are you? Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Strange Days as he's here the final Monday of every month. And we're glad to have Lon here, and we're glad to have all of you here as well tonight. Let's say hello to our team who are in the chat room. We got, unfortunately, a new champion. Well, not unfortunately, but first time in a long time, we got a new champion. Midwest Night Watchers is in for the gold medal position. Shiro Sounds takes home the silver. Trucker Andrew with a bronze medal tonight, sitting in fourth, usually in the medal contention, race fan, but he was a little slow tonight getting on in. Roy Boy and Kurt Am, how are you? Steam Train Mark in Australia, thank you for letting us know that I am alive tomorrow in the future. Very much appreciate that. Grantavius Maximus, he'll be in later on for the UFO report. Who else do we have here? We have Brown Dwarf, nice to see you. Laura Sosa is here. Laura Sosa will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Hi, Paramar, Vincent Richardson, and Jessica. Good to see you. D. Cohen, thank you for coming on in. Forrest Louie, good to see you. And Forrest Louie, by the way, will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Maggie M10, Search and Destroy, Crystal J, good to see you all here. Figgy Pods, thank you for coming on in. My man Millennium and TMI Kevin, how you guys doing? Luscious Jules, good to see you. W. David Page and Michael Morris, thank you for joining us. Hi, Jenny and Glenn Dennison, nice to have you both here as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Mama Susan, good to see you. And who else is here tonight? Oh, well, let's take a look here. We have Von Patrick and George Jones. Good to see you both here. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. And who else is joining us? Robert Lamar, thank you for joining us. Escape from Blue Jersey. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing? And Glenn Dennison, I said. There's Forrest Louie. Forrest Louie's kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So, Louie, thank you so much for your love and support. Very much appreciate it. Cecil, how you doing, buddy? Lurks a lot. Good to see you. Richard Elmore, thank you for joining us. Hello, Science Melinda. Watching at the kitchen table with Ozzy. Oi, oi to you, my friend. Glad to have you both here. Thank you for coming on in. Sherry H., Voices from the Swamp. Happy holidays from Cajun Country. Thank you, Sherry. Ozzy Rob, how you doing, buddy? How's them ham hocks? Let us know. Not on Skype anymore, Rob. I don't use Skype anymore, so hit me up on Facebook. Hadley, good to see you. Good morning, Tracy Scott. Nate Foot from Wibbs over in Spokane. A lovely picture of Hallmark and his beautiful wife on Facebook earlier today. On the Rocks, how you doing? Good to have you here. And who else is here? Pat Murphy, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. Deb from SAC, welcome back. And, thank you, Deb, for that awesome super chat. Really appreciate your love. Hey, you are so kind to us. Hold on. Let's start the radio side so that way we could get Bill WD40 into the Spreaker chat room. As always, Bill WD40 will lube us up for tonight's show. And Desert Rat, thanks for coming on in. Old Religion Dystopia 2, welcome to SOR chat. Thank you for joining us. And who else we have? Angela Kraus, how are you? Digger Dog, thanks for coming on in. Lily Pond and Jeff Steve Garvey. Jeff Steve Garvey will hit a home run for you. All you got to do is ask. And wow, what a great Christmas. I had a great one, everyone. I started off on Christmas Eve where I took my son skating and we went and played some hockey outside. And then we got ready for Santa Claus that night. And Santa Claus came yesterday morning and it was just fantastic. It was very quiet, but we had a great dinner. Noble Patrick, how you doing? And it was just a great, great day yesterday and leading into a very lazy day today. Thank you to Turkey Coma. We got 8 seconds to go here before we launch. I'm going to ask a favor from all of you. Get your horns up, everyone. It's time to rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show for you tonight as Lon Strickler is here from phantomsandmonsters.com to talk about all the monsters among us in 2022. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. Swamp Dweller brings in another spooky story, and Grant Baker will be filling in for Tim Senor on the UFO report tonight. Here we go. Lon Strickler, if you haven't heard him on this show before, is a Fortean researcher, author, and publisher of the syndicated Phantoms and Monsters blog at phantomsandmonsters.com. Once a month, he comes on in here to talk about the monsters among us in a ditty we call Strange Days. Now, Lon began his blog back in 2005, and it has steadily grown in popularity. Literally every month, he gets tens of thousands of hits on his website and reports as well of strange creatures, monsters that people are seeing and seeking the truth too. His research and reports have been featured on hundreds of online media sources, television shows, etc. And once a month, once again, Lon comes in here to grace us with his presence on the monsters that walk among us. Lon Strickler, I hope you had a great Christmas, my friend, and are looking forward to 2023. Our last show with you here in 2022, and thank you so much for coming here.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave, and happy holidays to you and everybody in the chat.
First off, I want to say a big thank you to you. It was back in January when we lost our good friend Butch Witkowski of this year, and you and I have talked a number of times about the loss and the hole that he leads. But the fact that you would come on in here and fill in and take over from the loss of Butch on Strange Days really, really made me feel good, Lon, because I don't think there were too many people out there that could fill the giant shoes of Butch, and you were able to do it admirably. And you come on in here every month, and I know you enjoy the show. I know you enjoy the chats that we have. And on behalf of Spaced Out Radio, I want to say a giant heartfelt thank you to you for coming in such a difficult situation. I know Butch was very close with us. He was even closer with you, and you guys were like family. And for you to do that for us here at Spaced Out Radio in 2022 really, really meant a lot to all of us, man. And, we'll never get over Butch. I know you won't either, but thank God that we had him for the time that we did. But for you to come on in, it's really made this show special, Lon.
Well, I'm happy to do it. And I was glad that you asked me to fill in. And yeah, I mean, it's been difficult. I mean, it's and especially this year, Butch passing in the beginning part of the year. And then we've been getting all these cryptid canine sightings in Pennsylvania beginning in the spring. And, it's been tough to follow up on a lot of them. But I still think about him all the time, and he's looking down on us, hopefully, and we just keep on getting it.
Well, that's for sure. And you know what? The one thing about Butch that I always loved about him is the fact that he always was never afraid to say, I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think for any investigator in anything that we do with this type of topic, we don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know what a Bigfoot is. We don't know what a Mothman is. We don't know what a Dogman is or a bipedal canine. Heck, we don't even know what an alien and a UFO are, if we want to get into real detail. And it takes real magical type people and very smart people like yourself, Butch, and many other investigators out there who are still in the minority of this all, in trying to figure out what exactly is the phenomena and what exactly are we looking for.
Yeah, I get criticized all the time for not coming up with an answer to stuff. It's kind of frustrating, but I'm not going to lie about it. If I do have some information, I'm going to put it out there. But yeah, and Butch was the same way. We were like-minded in that. And if we don't know, we're going to try to find out, but we're not going to lie about it in the meantime.
How difficult is that? Because people want answers.
Oh yeah.
They want answers.
Yeah.
And yet there are no answers.
Well, I post sightings every day. And when I put it up on a forum or something, or even put it up on Facebook, a lot of times people come back to me and say, hey, what's the answer to this? What's going on? Well, I don't know. I presented what I can, and, I leave it up to the readers to form their own basis or their own thoughts of what's going on for the most part. I mean, I can kind of put a little bit there with, my theories. But as far as putting conjecture in there, I try not to do that. But yeah, it is difficult. And people do kind of expect a lot out of you. So, it's part of the territory.
Oh, very much so. We get it here. And a lot of times where I'll get people in our chat room, or people hit me up on our YouTube channel or even privately, and they'll be like, Dave, all we want is proof. Show us proof. Mm-hmm. Lon, 99% of the proof that we have is anecdotal proof. We have a story. We have if you look at it from a journalism side or even a forensic police side, we have a lead. But nobody today is buying, unless we're taking that photograph on our own, nobody is buying a photograph. Nobody is buying a video. CGI is just way too great, where even a 7-year-old today can edit things that are just fantastically incredible. Photographs are the exact same way with Photoshop. I mean, in your eyes right now, are we better off today with the knowledge and technology that we have, or are we better off in yesteryear, where it was very easy to tell a hoax? It was very easy to tell a fake video or a fake photo.
I think we are better off, even though I'm like you. I just don't trust, for the most part, a photograph or a video. It is too easy to fake it. So what you got to do is when you do get it, you present it as is. And of course, people are going to be skeptical of it. And that's just nature, humans. And, some people are going to buy into it. But, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to present the evidence and let them determine what they believe is real. It makes for good conversation sometimes. But, no, I think we're better off. In the fact that, much of this photographic and video evidence is available to be put on TV or on the internet. So it kind of spurs interest. So you get more people interested in it. I mean, for a long time, we had only the Patty film and we had the Freeman film, and that was about it. And we had to base it off of that. And but now anybody with a cell phone can get something if it's there in front of them. And though it's not that easy to do. I mean, most people, when they're in that situation, they're not thinking about taking a photograph. They're more worried about what's standing in front of them. But and we do get criticized about that too. I mean, people just don't understand what witnesses go through when they have these encounters.
Well, I think you bring up a good point there. What do the witnesses go through, and what how do they react? I mean, here we are in 2022, we're right near the end and we're going into 2023. A lot more people are trying to be aware. A lot more people have interest in these subjects than ever before. Thank you to the internet and places like phantomsandmonsters.com and my show and places like this, where we've really brought promotion to these topics, but I guess in the end for you, is anecdotal evidence still a high quality of information in order to gather leads or in order to gather information about what people are encountering?
Oh, I think it is. After you've done this a long time and you kind of determine when you talk to people what their mindset is, many times you can tell if they're trying to pull a wool over your eyes. And but no, anecdotal evidence for the most part is what we get, so we have to go with that. And I look at, in particular, what's been going on out in the Chicagoland area. 99.9% of what we're getting is anecdotal evidence, but we have to talk to the witnesses and re-talk to them and try to get their mindset and determine what they encountered and present that. And, when that's all you've got, that's, you got to go with it the best you can. Unfortunately, we haven't had a photograph or a video that really meets the criteria for proving it to be real. But, I think people were really seeing something. And that's not just for that. It's for, all cryptids and all encounters. There's a lot going on. I mean, the veil's thinning, man. I'm telling you. And more people are coming forward. And, they're much more aware of it. They don't let ridicule bother them like they used to. And we're fortunate for that. I mean, I have to applaud people who come forward and tell us what they've encountered. And, that's what we go on, and we make the best of it.
Lon, you have talked from everybody from everyday campers to people who are gardening their own backyards to police officers and EMTs and military personnel who have seen strange things happen while they are on duty or while they're just tending to their day. How do you, as somebody who investigates this stuff, how do you, break off a good story with an evidential story compared to somebody who is, pulling your leg?
Well, if I think they're embellishing or outright lying, I'll tell them about it. I will. I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, and the investigators I work with are the same way. What's the sense of going through all the work and everything if you got a bad feeling about what they're telling you? But the one thing that we have tried to do is to try to coax them into trying to embellish on an encounter. When they start doing that, that's when you can usually tell something's not on the up and up. But when they talk to you and stick to what they saw or what they described initially, then you have something to work with, and then you can kind of get to the brass tacks, go to the location, start working it out, and tell them, we're going to have more questions for you, but just tell us. And if we do come up with something that kind of sparks a memory, I mean, tell us, but be honest with us. And that's the only thing we really require from people, is to be as honest as you possibly can.
For the most part, people do want to know what is going on. And like we talked about a couple of minutes ago about the words, I don't know, sometimes is the best answer. When you have people who are traumatized or affected by these creature sightings, whether it's aliens or gnomes running across the road, frogmen, goatmen, dogmen, whatever it may be, even ghosts of their own house. I mean, how do you explain to them that the best answer is, I don't know?
And, that's tough. It is tough because people want answers. Many times they're traumatized by what they encountered, or something, just like something going on in the house, especially. I mean, that's something that continues on and on. And, the only thing I can tell them is, you got to give us a little time to work it out. I can give you some direction on what you can probably do to calm things down, but it's not a solution. And we need to get the time to make this, to try to come up with solutions. I will say this: many times we have been very successful with hauntings in particular. I've been doing this. Well, I've been doing working hauntings for over 40 years now. But, I've improved my methods, and, it's something that we've been very successful at, or I've been very successful at. And I tried to teach people in the team as much as I can, the best I can. So we've been successful. When it comes to cryptids, it's a different story. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if maybe 9.5 times out of 10, they're not going to encounter it again. But they want to know what it is. So there's not really that fear factor that something's going to happen to them again. But they still want to know. And you still got to try to come up with something that, some type of explanation as to what it is. But quite frankly, if I don't know what it is, I won't tell them. I won't tell them something just to keep them, just to quell their fears, or quell their, their curiosity of it.
Well, I want to get to a comment here from Alien Critter, because I think that this is a logical statement. He says, if people only have anecdotal stories and no hard evidence, then they must understand that they will receive criticism from skeptics. Are the skeptics, and I agree with that, but are the skeptics being fair to the people who are having the experiences?
No, most skeptics are a pain in the ass. I mean, I'll agree with that. And their mindset for the most part is that, we're not going to really accept anything unless we have some type of solid evidence. So they just keep on downplaying everything. And, there are a few people within the paranormal community that's all they're there to do. They're not open-minded for the most part. But, the one thing I do like is when a skeptic has an encounter, then they're kind of, they kind of change their minds. And I've seen that many times. So, I mean, people, I expect the comments from skeptics, and, I'm used to that. But witnesses, no, they're, you got to warn them, basically, you put it out there, people are going to question that. And of course, they know that friends, family, and people where they live, or if it gets out, they may get some criticism. But it's part of the game. I mean, but there are people that's all they feel like doing is being skeptics.
I think YJ says it properly here. One anecdotal account is a story. Several anecdotal accounts are a pattern, and patterns are hard evidence. And I think we don't look enough into that. And I would agree with that statement too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just like say you got a murder case. The more evidence you pick up, even though it's, it's not hard evidence, it's, but you keep building on the case. You keep building on the case. Circumstantial evidence. It's gonna lead to something, and it's the same in as being a paranormal investigator or a cryptid investigator. You try to gather and try to grab every little bit of evidence you may get, and that's how we work cases.
Very true. Very true. And, when you look at it all, though, and you're kind of, your job with phantomsandmonsters.com is to just bring the experiences that people are reporting. That's what you do. You have a place where, look, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you if you want to believe the story or not. You're just presenting the story that is brought to you. I mean, as much as you try and vet them, there are going to be stories out there that maybe accidentally slip through, or somebody is really good at creepypasta type stories and writing that all up. But for you going forward, have you over the years noticed patterns in the reports that you're getting off of these creatures?
Patterns. Well, you get a couple hundred stories about one cryptid. You do see patterns. It's just like, again, I go back to Chicago. There were definite patterns, lots of similarities, and from people who had no idea that this phenomena had been going on. There have been some small differences. But for the most part, it's all been pretty similar. And 160 plus reports that we felt incredible later. That's something. I mean, if you go into the database or go to the map and click on those locations where there have been sightings reported that we felt were credible, and look at the similarities of the sightings. It's pretty evident that somebody's seeing something, and it's been going on now since 2011.
It really has. And, that's something that, we have to take advantage of in trying to figure out, what is happening. Lon, with 90 seconds to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, I'm curious for you, out of all the creatures that you have investigated, from ghost aliens and all the cryptids out there, outside of Bigfoot, is there one that you think that we're closer than ever into proving its existence?
That's a hard question to answer. We are gathering more evidence. I would say, when we started getting the winged humanoid phenomena sightings, and, of course, a lot of us knew about the Mothman, Point Pleasant, and then it started building in other locations, and of course, getting better evidence as we've gone along. I think that phenomena may very well develop a breakthrough. Now, it may sound crazy, but I think some of the things that we have uncovered over the past several years may lead to some type of development, because we're getting people who are professionals, very good, law enforcement, pilots, air traffic controllers, other professional people that are getting these sightings as well. And yeah, it's I think something's going. I think something's going to shake loose. I don't know when, but I think it will.
Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here for Strange Days that happens near the end of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we're going to start getting into the top stories of 2022 with Lon Strickler on Spaced Out Radio. Great start. Great start. That was fun. By the way, YJ, I like the new logo, man. Magnus Vermagnuson, good to see you. And C. Jones, welcome to SOR chat. Who else has joined us? Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got Lubla. And who else joined us here late? Sagittarius Dad, good to see you. And Charlie Wempe. When you experience your own happening, you don't care what others think. That is bang on, my friend. That is bang on. Welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you coming on in. 223 people or 218 people watching live on YouTube. If you can, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Mortal Clown, welcome to SOR chat. And if you can, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. And don't forget to go over to Lon's channel, Phantoms and Monsters, and hit that subscribe button there as well. We would appreciate it. And yeah, good times, my friend. Good times.
Yeah. I'm just hoping this next just as busy. It was a busy year. It really was. Lots going on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know that feeling. I mean, Atlantis is found. Welcome back. Yeah, it's been a weird year. And I think we're going to continue it. You know, I really, Lon, think that if there was a positive to the whole BS of COVID, I really think it was people learned that they don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars on going on trips to Europe or trips to Mexico or Hawaii, even though those places are nice, but they found a love for going camping again, like they did when they were a kid, you know, and they found that love of getting into nature and seeing the stars again, or going fishing with their child, or hiking, or whatever it may be. And I think that's why we're starting to see a lot more, man.
Yeah, I think that's right. People, first of all, people saved a lot of money. That people that I know saved a lot of money, and we're out in the outdoors a lot more. And some of the sightings that we have gotten over that period of time are they're different, if I can say that, but they're more intense sightings. So I think, I guess the story hasn't been written yet on COVID, the final story, but I think people, use the time with their families, were at home and got a lot of things done at home. Things that they wouldn't normally do. They'd be busy out, in the world, and, going here and going there. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that's out and about all the time anyway. I'm at home a lot, but that will change, I'm pretty sure, because things are opening up again, and I plan on getting out much more.
I cannot wait for the snow to melt. This is probably the first year I didn't want the snow to come, because I was just so pumped about what was happening at our gifting site that we had. We were finally starting to get some interaction. And, today I got a new area that I have to go and investigate, courtesy of Cable Guy Matt. And if you're listening, Cable Guy Matt, thank you. He sent me a picture of his brother-in-law who went hunting this year, literally about 15 minutes from my house. and there was a tree structure that looked like a teepee that was built in the forest. He didn't know what the hell it was, and he said the feeling kind of weirded him out a little bit, and in seeing that. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and learning. I got a couple new areas that I have to go to as soon as the snow melts and get everything going. So I'm pretty pumped up about what we got coming up here in the monster world. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to be pretty busy. I don't know why. So. I just have that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Thank you to Forrest Louis, Deb, Ozzy, and Royal Morning Blue for the super chats. Great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Here we go at the second half hour, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears during this holiday season. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Strange Days tonight. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here talking about the monsters of 2022. And I know most of you missed it during the break, but Lon and I were speaking about how 2022 was a very busy year for people having eyewitness encounters with strange creatures. Lon, thank you so much for having the time to join us.
My pleasure.
So you mentioned that 2022 was a very busy year. What were people seeing?
Well, mostly here in Pennsylvania, cryptid canines. I mean, it's just exploded. We have had, I just counted, 7 cases in Pennsylvania in 2022. I mean, there'd be times we wouldn't have that many cases in 2 or 3 years. But for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's people that are getting out and doing things. And that's why people are seeing these things. And but no, the cryptid canine site, and we just had one reported to us 2 weeks ago here in Pennsylvania of something that we're looking into as well. So yeah, we're busy looking at this stuff.
So your reports, you namely get reports from all across North America and the world throughout. Were people seeing more outside of Pennsylvania? Were people having more dogman encounters, UFO encounters? Were they picking up on ghosts more?
It's been a good mix, but I'd say the UFO sightings have probably been more prevalent. There's a lot of strange lights in the sky that people just can't explain. In fact, in the past couple months, we've had a lot of sightings in southern Wisconsin of these disc-shaped lights that people have been seeing, mostly drivers that see it along the horizon. We've been getting a lot of those. The Bigfoot reports they've been plentiful, but they usually are. You get Bigfoot reports a lot of different places. Winged being reports have kind of picked up, pterosaur type reports. We've had a few of those, and of course the cryptid canines, and so yeah, it's been a pretty good mix. I mean, I can't really say definitively what percentage of what, but it's been a lot of different stuff. I mean, it's kept us busy. I've been working in homes that have had hauntings. And actual attachments to people locally in particular. I've been going into homes in the past 2 months. I've gone into 5 locations locally, and that's a lot. I mean, we don't normally get that. Hasn't been like that since I first moved up here back in 2016. And that year, I don't know if it's because I moved into the town or not, moved back home, but that first 2 years I had about 30 cases I had to work on. People that asked me, and in fact, Rosemary Ellen Guiley and Bill Bean were actually part of some of those cases as well. So for whatever reason, there was a lot of stuff going on around this area. But more recent months, it's picked up again.
Do you think that's because more people are intrigued with the subjects, or more creatures are making their way out of the woodwork?
I think more people are less inhibited about making a report. I think people have been seeing this stuff from the beginning. But I think, since there's so much out on the internet, so much out on TV now, that they'll say something to somebody, a close friend or a family member, then they'll be encouraged to, well, go ahead and find someone to make the report to. And a lot of times that's how I get my reports, because people start searching on Google, or somebody will refer them to me. I get a lot of referrals. So, people are less inhibited about making reports now.
So the average person who is making reports, are they children? Are they like teenagers, adults? Are they married people? Are they, in their, last third of life? Who's making the reports?
It's mostly couples, married couples that have kids. And when I get to a situation when there are kids, that's kind of a priority for me. And of course, I can't work with them unless the parents agree to all of this. And but this is something that I've done for many years now. I've worked with a lot of children who have had attachments, who have seen things, who can't, they're not aware of what's going on. Their parents can explain to them what's going on. And a lot of times these kids are gifted. And, I've had a few success stories with these kids who grew up to be adults that are now part of the psychic world, part of, they're part of the paranormal. So, that's what I do. I mean, that's a big part of what I do.
No, and I understand that. And for education purposes, you're also someone who likes to see people grow in this field. You're someone who wants people to investigate and be their own harshest critics and everything like that. So when it comes to, people seeing a lot of UFOs, how do we know they're not seeing Starlink? Or maybe a lot of these people have never seen what satellites look like, or the International Space Station.
Well, a lot of times they are. And, you just got to take the evidence and check it out and make them aware of what you think they're really seeing. That's the way Butch was. That's the first thing he would look for. He'd get a UFO report. The first thing he's doing is checking what's out there. And if it's something he couldn't explain, well, then he'll go deeper into it. But I'd say most sightings that people have are satellites.
Yeah, I would too. And it's just a lack of education.
Sure. They're just not aware of what's out there.
Okay, so let me ask you this for people who may not understand. They're like, well, how do I tell the difference between a satellite and a UFO?
Well, most times as a satellite, it'll have a steady trajectory. It won't be erratic. It'll be a smooth trajectory across the sky. 99% of the time, that's a satellite. But if you do have something that's moving about, going up and down in different directions and such, well, that's not a satellite. That's something unexplained. So that's an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, your idea of a good report includes what?
Mm. Um, Honesty, detail, times, locations. The more they can give me, the better. The less fluff they can put in there, less conjecture, and less embellishment. I mean, I don't want that. I just want to know what they saw. I want to know how they felt. I want to know the location, time, any pertinent information they can provide. That's what I want. That's for anything.
Hmm. Hmm. So when someone gives you a report, you know, uh, what kind of accuracy are you looking for? What kind of detail are you looking for?
Well, it just depends on the phenomena. Now, if if it's a UFO or a UAP, I want to know what they saw, how it moved, and the brightness, and the color or whatever, something that was different. I want to know all about that. As far as a cryptid goes, I want them to tell me exactly what they saw. If they experienced any type of physical or mental feelings during the encounter, I really emphasize that they give me as much as they possibly can. Because a lot of times when a person will contact you initially, they're going to be very vague. Because first of all, they don't know you, so they're not sure what they want to tell you. Most people want to know what you're going to do with the information. And I tell them, well, if we're not looking into it, we are going to try to look into it. But I do have a blog, and I do keep a record of all this, and I do write about it. I'm upfront with them. If they got a problem with that, well, then I just say, well, if you don't want me to put it on the blog or you want me to report it somehow, I won't do that. If you want us to work on it privately, I do that a lot.
What's your favorite UFO story that you covered in 2022?
There's not really one that jumps out. I would say there was a lot of questionable stuff out there. A lot of times people were seeing spacecraft that were kind of shooting stuff off, and matter would be coming off of it, and it would show up as some type of swirling activity or something unexplained, or pieces were coming off of it. We got a lot of that because SpaceX and NASA were really launching a lot of stuff this past year. And of course, when we started getting sightings of stuff, especially down in Florida and out in California, first thing we thought was, what launched? Something launched. And of course, the out over in Europe, a lot of those space agencies have been putting a lot of satellites up as well. So that's the first thing you got to think of. So there's nothing really in particular, but we have had a few. And like I said about in Wisconsin, we have had a few discs that people were seeing in southern Wisconsin. And we had about 5 or 6 of those reports. And I thought they were pretty interesting because that's just not something we always get. They were seen them during the day and at night. I mean, these things were bright enough that they were being picked up during the day. It was nothing really. What we got this year wasn't really that big. It wasn't a real big encounter or sighting, but it was more mundane, but there was a lot of it.
Yeah. Now, were people seeing just as many aliens this year, or was it just UFOs? Because I can understand, with all the hype around UFOs that we have had the last couple of years, it has triggered a lot of people regarding, looking up into the sky again, because they see all these people on the news now talking about UFOs, and they want to have a sighting of their own.
This has really been a down year for otherworldly sightings or encounters. And I'm talking with possible alien beings, extraterrestrials, and such. We haven't had a whole lot of that. For whatever reason. I don't know why that is. It's been most of the UFO stuff. And as far as people being taken and or having saying they've been taken, that has just really been bare minimum this year. This is probably the slowest year for that I can remember in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
It's not like the aliens have all of a sudden stopped taking us.
I don't know. I can't explain that, but it does seem to be like that. I was thinking about that the other day because I'm starting to write a book, a cryptid canine book, and I went back all over my notes, for everything, trying to pick up research and stories I did. And the first thing I noticed for 2022 was, man, we just did not get a lot of alien reports this year, because I was looking at everything, and I don't really remember anything that just stands out. Not like other years. Mm-hmm.
Maybe the aliens are getting sick of us?
Oh, I don't know. Unless people just aren't reporting, they got too much other stuff on their mind. I think society in general has a lot to do with that. It's just like during the holidays, things kind of slack off. I think people worried about the pocketbook, worried about things at home and everything else. I think in general, people are more conscious of that and not, something, they'd see something or something would happen. They kind of put it in the back of their mind. And you know how it is with these encounters, these otherworldly encounters. A lot of time people think they might have had something happen, but just don't really remember anything until years later. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I get people that recall stuff 20, 30 years or more later, and then it's vivid all of a sudden. But no, this year has really been slow for alien contact.
Yeah, even I can say this, even to confirm that, a lot of the experiencers that I have talked to, outside of multiple experiencers who seem to have contact on a daily or bi-daily basis, even have talked about how, their encounters have slowed down, where instead of getting an interaction, say, once a month or once every couple of weeks, it's been months since many of them have had any type of sighting. Like a guy in our chat room who's usually seen a lot of UFOs, YJ Overlander, stated in the chat room already that he didn't see a single UFO in 2022. That's a rarity for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that whole, he even mentioned something about reports I'm getting or repeat people who've had repeat encounters, and a lot of what I do get is people that have had encounters for years and years, and it's nothing that's not very little of something that's new. I can't even recall right offhand of something that new from this year. It's that's just the way it's been. It's been pretty cryptid heavy all year long, and Butch would have been he'd have been disappointed because UFO is his forte, but yeah, he'd been busy with the cryptid canines.
Oh, I hear you. We got about 5.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Our good friend Lon Strickler is here from phantomsandmonsters.com for Strange Days. Lon, let's talk a little bit about the cryptid world, dear. What kind of creatures out? You mentioned earlier in the show, a lot of people were having bipedal canine type sightings in Pennsylvania. But what kind of reports were you getting this year from all around North America?
Like I said before, it's been a big mix. The pale humanoid reports have picked up. The not deer reports, that's picked up over the years, and it's been pretty heavy this year. I mean, people seeing deer that have all kinds of strange characteristics. Now, of course, there have been a lot of infected deer, a lot of diseased deer being sighted, but I'm talking about deer that just don't look right. I mean, have forward set eyes, have long legs, just weird stuff that people just don't normally talk about. We have gotten some of that. Like I said before, the pale humanoid phenomena, though that hasn't been as strong this year as it was the 2 previous years. But I think the cryptid canines have probably nationwide, even throughout North America, have probably been the big story of the year.
Incredible. Incredible that was going on. I mean, the idea that these cryptid canines are out there and they are being, seen all over North America. We're seeing a real stretch. It was just a few years ago, Butch, where these cryptid canines weren't being seen out of anywhere outside of Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois. And now it's a North American phenomena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get them from all states now. I mean, all continental states, Canada. I believe I probably have reports somewhere from every state in the continental U.S. and every province in Canada as well. Yeah, it's really picked up. I tell you, Ontario's a hot spot. Really is. Heard. And it has been. Southern Ontario in the Niagara area, all the way over to the Detroit River, that whole southern part of Ontario. We've had a good bevy of reports for years over there. And then I got a couple reports this year of up near in Northern Ontario as well. So I think a lot of it was supernatural, but who knows? I mean, some of these reports have been real head scratchers, but it's but no, Ontario and Canada have increased steadily.
And are the creatures the same as what they're seeing down in Pennsylvania or in Wisconsin?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we get the tall bipedal canines that are huge, the lichens, what we call them. People 8, 9, 10 foot, very muscular, almost like a humanoid type of thing with an anubis or jackal head. Sometimes, many times, it has like the wolf head. Then we get the quadrupeds that many times look like hyenas, very muscular but big, with wolf-like heads. But they're spotted like hyenas, and a few times those are bipeds as well. Then we always get a mix in there of some type of canine. Had a couple reports in the last couple of years of canines with human faces.
Canines.
There's a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
Oh, explain that. 90 seconds to go. Explain this. Canines with human faces.
People would most of these were quadrupeds, but they'd be normal size canines for a breed. Say the body would look like a particular breed of dog, but the face itself would either look like a female human or a male human. Yeah, I know. I've gotten several of them. It'll be in the book. I mean, it's very weird, but we've been getting that. And when I talk to these folks, they're dead serious.
I don't know if that would scare me more, is seeing a monster with a human type face.
Yeah,
than seeing a regular dog man. I mean,
it would me.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
and where were those sightings?
Oh, there were several of them. I had one in Florida, I think. I had a couple up in Canada. One in Pennsylvania I know of. Offhand I can't remember, but I know they were mostly on the eastern part of North America.
Either way, that's still wrong. It's still wrong. We got 1 hour down, 1 hour to go with the legend himself, Lon Strickler. from phantomsandmonsters.com. And in hour number 2, we will take your questions in 2022 for Lon Strickler, right here on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days, as this is Lon's final appearance of 2022. We'll talk to him again in 2023 near the end of January. Spaced Out Radio's hour number 2 of Strange Days continues right after this. All right, my friend, we are clear. I'm going to just set you back in the green room. I'm going to go hit the little boys' room. We'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right, stay tuned, everybody. Be right back. All right, I am back, and there's Lon. And thank you for the little break there. And we're going to continue on with hour number 2 here coming up. Hi, Melissa Nicole. How you doing? And who else has jumped into the chat room here? Terry Hall. How you doing, buddy? Oh, excuse me. Jennifer Metzger. Welcome to SOR Chat. Jamie Johnson. Welcome to SOR Chat. And who else do we have? Oh, there's Lon Strickler in the chat room. Welcome to SOR Chat, Lon Strickler. Don't know if you're on the radio or not, but Blackbird Immaculate, good to see you.
I got on my phone and decided to answer a few questions or say a few things.
Wild Aloof Rebel, welcome back. Let's see here. Anybody else? Susie B, welcome back. Yeah. Warm enough today.
I do want to say that a lot of people who come in the chat over here on SOR had also sent well wishes with my surgery. So I just wanted to tell them I appreciated all that. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we're glad you're here. Video Game Zombie, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing, man? All right, we got just a few seconds. Thank you, Louis ×2, Stephen, Ozzy, Deb, and Royal Morning Blue for the super chats. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quatint. Quatint is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio, Instagram @SpacedOutRadio Show, and on TikTok @SpacedOutRadio. Here we go once again. We are continuing on with Strange Days. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here to talk all things monstrous. And that's what we need. And that's what we're doing tonight. Once again, you can also find all of Lon's books on his website as well as Amazon.com. Lon, thank you so much for being here with us. Your final appearance of 2022.
Yeah, it's been a quick year. And I've enjoyed coming on here, filling in for Butch. It's been my pleasure.
It's been great. I want to ask you, a lot of times we continue to talk about things like Dogman, Bigfoot, and the cryptids that, really catch our attention. But there's a lot of people who see other things out there that are very hard to explain, whether it's, gnomes or gargoyles or trolls under bridges. How many reports in 2022 did you get of these offhanded cryptids?
Little folk, fae, I had quite a few. Most of them were older reports, but they were reports nonetheless. Many times when people write in about that type of phenomena, it's an older report or something they experienced when they were younger or living somewhere else. I think people have been somewhat reluctant over the years to bring those forward. But, I have had a lot of those. And, I really don't know what to think about them because, I don't know. I think everybody's got their own perception of these things, but I don't discount them. I just don't discount them. And, it's interesting when I do cases where I had to RV and remote view, and doing distance investigation. Sometimes I will run into elementals and things I just can't explain. There are things out there that just have no real basis for being what they are or what they see or what people describe. So, like I said, I don't discount anything. I learned my lesson there. There have been times when people have told me things and I thought, no way in hell but I'm usually proven wrong.
What's your weirdest report that you got this year that sticks out to memory?
Oh, it has to be the report out of Berks County, Pennsylvania, with that gruesome cryptid canine that was reported to us. It's one of those things, that one that was actually reported just behind where Butch lived at, in the area of the French Creek State Park, and it's called the Birdsboro Preserve, and Butch lived in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. So that is probably the weirdest one, the strangest one, because the characteristics. This thing was, it had the markings of a hyena in a way, but it had a strange looking head. It had very long arms and legs that had very large talons on them. And this thing was just gruesome looking. And it was grabbing birds, and it was jumping off of high trees, dropping 30 to 40 foot and landing on its legs and not being affected by it. It was just really an odd report. And, the guy who had the report, Matt Huriak, he's part of the team now. And that does happen to me. A lot of times when we get someone who has such a incredible report, they get the bug. They get bit by the bug. And a lot of times when they get involved and start looking into this stuff and they're really gung ho, I'll put them on the team. I'll take advantage of that. And I've had a couple people I've actually been called in to work with for something or another, and they eventually become part of the team, and they make very good investigators.
That's just incredible. I mean, the idea that this thing is hopping around 30, 40 feet on its hind legs, landing and running around. I mean, that seems like right out of a sci-fi type of Avengers type movie.
It's crazy. I mean, the movements this thing made were just so exaggerated. I mean, compared to other cryptid canine sightings. I'm just assuming it was a cryptid canine. Just by the description, that's what it seemed to be. It didn't have a tail. It was weird. It was more humanoid than anything else, but it had a lot of canine characteristics to it. I don't know what he saw. His daughter was with him. She saw the same thing. So it's an enigma, just like a lot of other stuff we get. This state has some crazy sightings. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Oh, wow. Wow. I want to ask you, sticking with the weirdness before we get to some audience questions here, was it a big year for gnomes? Was it a big year for, little creatures running around? Was it a big year for the frogmen or goatmen or anything like that?
No, not really. Yeah, those type of sightings were very few and far between this year. For what, I don't know why, but it was. I mean, and I don't normally get a lot of the little people sightings anyway. There are other researchers that kind of specialize in that and kind of call for that type of investigation. I don't get a whole lot of those. The only time I will get those, if it's something to do with a haunting or some type of other investigation where these things are incidental and are part of it or become part of it, then I will get it. But as far as people actually seeing these things out in the woods or at home, I don't get a whole lot of that.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's turn this over to the audience here. Let's start off with Daniela, who is asking, has anyone ever seen something that's all white faceless but humanoid?
Absolutely. Yeah, these pale white humanoids, many times they're faceless. And this is something that has been really evident in the past 5, 6, 7 years. I actually had an encounter back in '76 of something very similar to that. I didn't talk a lot. I haven't talked a whole lot about it, but it was just something that I was in high school, and it was something I was looking into. I was actually exploring a location, and this guy who I thought was like a caretaker at this location, and I've talked to other people who are familiar with the area, and I saw him down on the dirt road, and I yelled at him, I wanted to find out if I'm able to come on. And when he looked up, he didn't have a face. He had a white face, but that's it. He had clothes and everything, but he had a featureless face. And me being 18 years old, I was hauling ass out of there.
Oh, I bet you were.
Yeah.
I bet you were. Were you with anybody at that time?
No, I was by myself.
Wow.
It was on the Ray. I don't know if people are familiar with the Ray Meyer murder case, the Powwow murder case in southern York County, Pennsylvania, that happened back in the 1920s. But it was that home where he had been murdered at, and at that time, back in '76, they hadn't renovated it. It was kind of run down, and I just happened to be going out there one day, and I wanted to take a look around. Because I was really familiar with the case. And I saw this guy out there, and I thought, well, he's looking around. It was weird because he was walking around out there, and he was looking on the ground, and he was meandering around. I yelled at him a couple of times. He didn't respond. And I kept walking up close to him. And I wasn't real close to him, but I was close enough to see the guy didn't have a face when he looked up. And I had just parked my car on the other side of there was a cable that went across the road. So I had to walk over the cable. And man, I was hauling out of there when I saw that. I wasn't sticking around.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah, you get the hell out. You get something like that coming at you, you get out, and you get out quick.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yep.
Just the way it is. All right, let's go to another question here from our audience. Let's go over to Ms. Kyle. 20 and 21 was very busy with light worker entities being seen all over the world, traveling in large groups. I saw a few groups of them, and I wondered if they were preparing for the veil to thin. What is your opinion?
It's thinned. It's already thin. It's been thin for over a decade. Every year, these cases increase of, where light workers are involved with spirit rescue or some other type of work with folks who are having issues. I've been doing spirit rescue now for over 20 years, and the veil has thinned. And I think most paranormal investigators and those that are gifted, who do spirit rescue, and do help folks to deal with things that are going on with them and around them, I think they'll tell you the same thing. Oh, I know they'll tell you the same thing. The veil has thinned.
When you say the veil, it always makes me think of the original Ghostbusters when, at the top of the tower there, when all of the, the electricity and the lightning starts coming in right before Stay Puft Marshmallow Man makes his appearance. Yeah. But, it always reminds me where you see all these creatures all of a sudden start coming in. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
What it is, the barrier between our world and the spirit world is thinner. It's easier to get through. Things are coming through much easier. That's what I mean, the veil.
All right. On the rocks and in the soil, Michael Godbold is asking, has there been many gnome-like creatures spotted recently? I know I just asked that, but...
Yeah, not really. Every once in a while, I did have one instance, something, it was down in South America, but, I don't know what it is about South America, down these Latin countries, but they seem to have a lot of that weird stuff down there as far as little humanoids showing up here and there. And there was one case in particular where somebody had gotten a film of this thing walking like a crab. It was like humanoid, but it was walking like a crab across the road, chasing a dog and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know if it was it was a fake or somebody manufactured it. I tend to believe it was, it was not staged, but then again, you see all kinds of crazy stuff when it comes to video. But that one in particular, I remember. But I as far as gnomes and little guys with hats and here and there, I haven't been a whole lot of that. Elves or fae or, they're all about the same thing.
Yeah, I always wonder in my area where there's a lot of fairy gardens come spring. And especially in a lot of the older properties around here, the majority of us do have fairy gardens, and people claim to, and I've seen them too. I've seen fairies and heard of gnomes kind of patrolling the gardens and everything. Is that more of a springtime garden time of action when we get more reports like that?
It's interesting you said that. I had a report in Texas this past summer. This woman and her daughter, they were out shopping. It was the middle of July, and you know how hot it is in Texas. And but the distance between the store and their car, they were just sweating bullets, and they got in the car, turned the air conditioner on, just sitting there trying to cool off. And as they were doing this, they saw a fairy outside the windshield. And they described it as looking like Tinkerbell. I mean, but this fairy was scowling at them, must have been saying, had their mouth open and was yelling at them and pointing at them and all kinds of crazy stuff. If you read the account, it was hysterical. But this thing was really let loose on them for whatever reason. They didn't even understand why I was doing that. But I do remember that, and I remember that report. And when I talked to the woman, she was dead serious too. She said, I don't care what you say or anybody else says. It wasn't a dragonfly. It wasn't a mayfly. It was a fairy. And she was yelling at me and screaming at me and pointing at us. And I thought, oh, well, okay. But no, that was an interesting one.
Oh, see, pissing off fairies is not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. Let's go to Blue Cruise here. Lon, any rodent types in humanoid encounters?
Offhand, I can't think of one. No, I can't think of one. No.
All right, let's go to Stephen in the UK. Any recent Jersey Devil reports?
We had a few of them this year, but they were old reports. They were, and actually, the two that I remember were from ex-police officers, who used to be police officers in the Pine Barrens area, who had encounters with what they said was the Jersey Devil. And the way they described it was very similar to what people have been describing for years. But no, I have gotten a few old reports this past year on Jersey Devil sightings.
So for people who may not be familiar with the Jersey Devil, I mean, I know I knew nothing of this creature. The only thing I knew is that the hockey team was called the New Jersey Devils. I had no idea that.
Well, that's what they were named after. It's a legend, basically. But actually, the legend in the Pine Barrens of this woman who gave birth to this demon child or whatever it was, and then it took off and has been living in the Pine Barrens for 200 or 300 years. That's just a legend. These sightings of this this winged being that has the body of a, I don't know, kind of a dragon-like body with a horse head and clawed feet and bat-like wings. Those actually started down in the Maryland Eastern Shore about 150 years ago. And then the sightings started going north. And more people were seeing these things. Most of it's legend, but there have been reports, and like I said before, I've had police officers I've had campers in the past who have seen these things. People who are driving have seen them. But it's always near if not in the Pine Barrens, very near the Pine Barren area. And that area in particular is just a bizarre place. There's a lot going on there. I don't know why. There's a lot of Bigfoot activity in there. There's a lot of spirit activity. And there are a lot of bodies that the mob dumped in there for years too. So, you kind of take it with whatever you can get. I mean, but it's a strange place.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's go to applesauce. Would you say that the younger and generally healthier people go missing or report abductions?
Would you say that younger and generally? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd say the majority of them are quite healthy. I've been abducted, and at the time, I wasn't the healthiest person in the world. But I did have an encounter. But I'd say for the most part, most people that are abducted are very healthy people, and it's usually generational too, where a father, son, daughter, mother, son, daughter, grandparents have all had encounters. Why that is a genetic thing. It very well could be. But no, I'd say most of them are generally younger and healthier.
Right on. Right on. And the reason, I would disagree with this statement a little bit too, this question, because I don't think the aliens really care about who they're taking, whether it's somebody who's heavier set, whether it's somebody who's completely out of shape like myself, or whether somebody is thin and trim and has a body fat percentage of 6%. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're looking at that. I think they're looking at genetics. I think they are looking at people who have awoken to the phenomena and mm-hmm. whatever has brought them there. And this is where I strongly believe the phenomena is all connected, because for a lot of people out there, they may start in the paranormal, but all of a sudden, as they continue to read into it and learn about it and open their minds to everything, that's when other parts of the phenomena start to kick in. And I think that's what makes the other ones curious.
I think a prerequisite is open-mindedness. And I think they know that. I had no inklings about ever being abducted or being involved with alien activity or alien abductions and such until I started working with David Eckhart and all the stuff he's been going through, he and his family, for the past 15 years or so. And before I had my abduction, he told me, they're going to come and see you because they told me. And sure enough, I had 3 encounters. I had 2 encounters at home, and the other encounter was, I was literally abducted. I was taken somewhere. I don't know where. I was shown things, and, I wrote about it in my book, but yeah.
Excuse me. We got just under a minute to go here. Is the encounters like that something that scares you when it happens to you?
I can't say I was scared. I may have been. I don't know. I don't really remember feeling much of anything. I was curious of what was going on. And I think when I got back and woke up, or, realizing what had happened, I think I was scared. The first person I contacted?
Butch. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And Butch
Lon,
Butch said it happened,
Lon,
man.
I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We have Lon Strickler for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. We got a plethora of questions to go through from our audience. We will get to them. And whatever else we have time for. Strange Days is heard near the end of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We continue with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com right after this. Perfect. Excuse me.
I don't know how much Butch talked to you about abductions that he had done research on, but he did a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was really into that. Mutilations and abductions and obscure abductions were a lot of experimentation stuff occurred. Yeah, he was really interested in all that.
Well, I know the first time I ever interviewed Butch, we talked about human mutilations.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept kicking myself in the ass because I kept calling him Bruce.
Yeah, I remember I remember him telling me that, and you told me that. Yeah.
I just felt like an idiot, and I thought this guy's never going to come back on the show. And sure enough, he did, and I always felt stupid for that. But
yeah, well, Butchers were forgiving. That's why Butch and I got so involved with that Todd Seas case. And that's why when I had mentioned for years I had been looking at that case, and I knew Butch was interested in it, but he and I had never talked about it. We weren't really that close at the time. We knew of each other, but I had mentioned it. I had posted something on the blog that I was starting to look into it, and I didn't know that Butch had been reading the blog, and he called me and said, "Look, I need somebody to help me out with this." He said, "You want to get involved and do this together," and that's how we hit it off, and that's how we really started, working together.
Yeah. He was an incredible dude, man. Incredible dude. That's for sure. That is for sure. People in our chat room, if I could ask a quick favor, if you don't mind, if you have any questions, please put them in capital letters. It makes it a little bit easier for me to find them in the chat room. So if you could, I would appreciate it. And we just kind of go from there. Nice and simple. Nice and simple.
Yeah, I think they took Butch. When he passed.
Oh, hell
he's
yeah.
Up, yeah, he's up there with him. Or wherever. Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, he I know he's come here. I know he's come here since the end. And I know he I felt him around here. It's hard, like I've had so many people come up to me because I took that last piece of audio, the last thing he ever said to me, I put it on the back end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I had it recorded, and I grabbed that audio and I put it at the back end of our show. So if you stay until the end of the show, you'll hear Butch's voice there. And we're almost a year later, and God, it still punches me in the guts each and every time I hear it, man. Still punches me in the guts.
I'll be doing a show sometimes, especially when I'm on my show, and this hallway back here goes into my kitchen.
Yeah.
People swear they see Butch back there.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I hear that all the time. I have felt him around, not necessarily then, but I have felt him around. Yeah. But I'm told that a lot.
I think the funniest was a couple of months ago, I had this psychic lady asked me, she goes, there's a spirit in your studio that comes into your studio. It's of a very, very cranky person. And I was like, oh God.
That didn't take hard. That wasn't hard to figure out who that was.
Oh God. And yeah, he's a real nice person, but he can be really cranky, Oh God. I'm like, yeah, that's our man Butch.
Yeah.
That's our man Butch. Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
God bless him. God bless him. We've got about 30 seconds here. I want to say a big thank you. A hat trick for Louie tonight on the Super Chats. Thank you so much. Deb and Aussie, Royal Morning Blue, and Stephen Finnegan over in the UK. Very much appreciate the love and the support through the Super Chat. We got a lot of people listening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. It really helps with our algorithms. And here we go with the next half hour of the show, everyone. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for allowing us to broadcast to you live during this holiday season. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Strange Days. We have Lon Strickler until the top of the hour. His website is phantomsandmonsters.com. I suggest you check it on out for all the cool reports that they have there. Lon, thank you so much for joining us. We got a ton of questions here from our audience. We'll start off with Glenn. He goes, I know Sasquatch stinks, but are there weird odors associated with other cryptids? There's a question we've never had.
Yeah. Quite honestly, the winged humanoids that had been showing up in Chicago, we've had some odors, strange odors associated with some of those, like an ammonia smell. Yeah, that's one that I can think of. I think that happened in 2 instances where the witness had gotten close enough to where they had been, and they noticed a very strong odor of ammonia. I don't know what that's all about, but that's the one thing offhand I can remember. And a lot of times with cryptid canines, that's usually real bad smells as well, just like Sasquatch. And, not all Sasquatch have that odor. When I had my encounter back in 1981, I was about 40 foot away from this thing, and the only thing I smelled was something that was, and I've said this, like fox urine smell. And I knew that smell because it was something I used to mask my boots with when I used to go deer hunting. And that's what I remember. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, those are the only ones that I can recall.
Let's go to Joe in California. Have there ever been reports of people seeing giant spiders, bodies the size of St. Bernards?
Not that I know of. Nope. I can't say it has. I mean, the only time I've ever heard of big spiders is down in either down in Yucatan or down in the jungle where they'd go into the caves and see these huge spiders in there. But as far as, something that's a cryptid or something that's not known, no, I don't know of anything like that.
The only one that I have ever heard of or seen is what my buddy Merle and I saw in our local museum barn. And they had just put up this idiotic jail cell inside a Clydesdale barn to try and raise money. Mm-hmm. And the jail cell had been sitting dormant in there for about 25 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the volunteers decided to erect it, and it brought in a bunch of negative energy. And so Merle and I were in there investigating because they didn't believe us, by saying, well, it was in there for 25 years. we never had anything bad happen. So why, now that it's erected, would there be bad stuff? And I said, well, because when you re-erect something, it recreates the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And jail cells are negative energy. So Merle and I have his girlfriend and one of our investigators inside the jail cell, and there's a tarp on one side of the jail cell leading to the exit. And all of a sudden we watch this, I call it a spider, crawling along the roof, a shadow spider. And this thing, God is my witness, was probably 5-6 feet long. And it went racing right through the tarp, then back down to the other end of the barn, and then straight back again through the tarp, and we never saw it again.
Well, I can't say I've ever heard anything like that before, but yeah, cool.
Just scared the daylights out of us.
I bet.
Yeah, I don't like spiders. Let's go to Nikki in Seattle.
Either.
Nikki in Seattle asks, Lon, why do you believe the veil has thinned? What is your take on it?
I can't really say. The only thing I could say as far as that's concerned is that it does seem that energies are able to cross into our world much easier than they used to. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, and it seems like it didn't seem as easy before. But I think, I don't know if there's some energy on our side that summons these things that makes it easier for them to come over. That may be. I have thought that with a lot of types of entities, even cryptids. I think some cryptids are either interdimensional or come from other dimensions or other realities. And my theory on some of these is that they're summoned. And maybe by that being done, it makes it much easier for them to cross over into our reality, into our earth plane. That's just my take on it. Yeah.
I could see that. I could honestly see that coming into play. I really could. All right. Penny has kind of a similar question. What do you think is causing the veils thinning rapidly?
But just like I said, I think I think there are forces on our side that are causing a lot of that. I think certain malevolency can do that. I think certain people who have abilities that do things that they really shouldn't do can cause that. That's just like, for instance, I have been saying for years, and I do truly believe this because I've investigated the area a lot, is Point Pleasant and the area around the West Virginia Ordnance Works. I think there's a very strong indigenous spirit that resides there and has resided there. And I think as protection that it summoned the Mothman or that winged being. And I think that's what the Mothman actually is. I think it was a summoned being used as a sentinel or a protector.
That's an interesting theory, sentinel or protector.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into detail on that?
Well, I mean, as time is going on, especially with our investigation in Chicago, I think there's a lot of things that we have experienced may, and I'm not saying it actually does, but may bolster that theory. But I do know at Point Pleasant, I have been involved with several investigations where we've done EVPs and, spirit work and such. And there is a very, very strong presence there. I believe it was probably the essence or life force of a Shawnee Indian in the area. I don't know which one, but I think it was maybe a medicine man, maybe someone that was killed or had died some horrific way, and it still resides there. And I think back in the 60s when, that area, the TNT plant that West Virginia Orange worked, they had a lot of young people and a lot of young adults who used to party and hang out down there in the area. And I feel this entity, this spirit, this energy felt threatened by it. And I think that's why it was summoned as a protector. And I think some of these winged humanoids or winged beings may actually be interdimensional beings, ultra-terrestrials that are summoned as protectors. Now, I'm not saying that it's actually that's what's going on in Chicago, but there is some kind of, I don't know, you can say it's anecdotal, but maybe some evidence that, and we don't have the proof of it, but there are a lot of strange things that we have been, that people on our team have experienced that make you think that maybe there is something to this. But that theory, I've had that theory for a long time. So maybe we're onto something. The whole winged humanoid thing, the whole Mothman thing. I had that encounter back in '88, and then I kind of fell into this whole Chicago Mothman thing, Chicago winged humanoid thing. And we've kind of been exclusive on the investigation for the most part. It just seems that I or people around me were destined to work on this thing. I know it sounds crazy, and some people will discount that, but I think it all started with me back in '88.
Makes entire sense. It could very well be. Lon.
We'll see. I mean, I don't
you
know.
are a trendsetter. So I'm not putting it past. Let's go to Forrest Louis here. Hey, Lon, what is your most interesting case of 2022?
Oh, I had to be that cryptid canine that I mentioned before. That that was so remarkable, and so many people are working with us now on that. And that was just a cut above most reports. And I actually did an interview with Matt and other folks, with Tim Renner, who works on our team as well. And you might want to go there and go to Fans of Monsters Radio and watch it. But it's the Berks County Cryptid Canine. It's you listen to it, it's pretty remarkable. It really is. And this is something that's going to take us into next year and probably beyond, because we want to find out what this thing is.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to Terry Hall from Oregon. My last hitchhiker encounter left me totally drained, while others have left me elated. Why? What's the difference?
You might have encountered a psychic vampire. Somebody drained your energy. You might have encountered something that looked living, but was actually a spirit energy that drained your energy. We come across a lot of different things in our life. Certain people, and I'm talking about living people, can just sap you of energy for whatever reason. I mean, it's just part of their being. And why that is, I don't know. But, I think that may very well be what happened to you.
Could be. I mean, how do hitchhikers form? Tell our audience.
Well, you're talking about an energy that has stayed around an area where they possibly died at, and is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
pick one up.
Yeah, many times it's someone who died suddenly, The energy of someone who died suddenly, it's so strong that they look like they're living. I mean, they're still living. And why that energy stays around the way it does, it could be residual, and it could be very intelligent or very strong energy that just remains on this earth plane as an earthbound, and that lives off the living energy that allows it to manifest the way it does. You've heard about, just like Resurrection Mary and Chicago, and I tell you, in Maine, I don't know what it is about the state of Maine, but there are more female hitchhikers, ethereal female hitchhikers than anywhere I know of. There's like 5 or 6 stories in Maine. I don't know what it is about Maine, but this is a phenomena that has been going on for ever since there have been cars and carts picking people up and such. It's just a very strong earthbound energy that is able to feed off living energy and to manifest.
All right, let's continue on here with questions. Penny is asking. Okay, she already asked that. So I apologize. Hadley is asking, if you had the chance to go to another exoplanet, would you leave Earth, Lon?
No, I'm happy here. I'm not. No, I don't think I would. I had somebody ask me that once before. I had talked about doing remote views, and when I was training remote viewing, I was actually taken off planet during a view session, and that was the scariest thing one of the scariest things I ever encountered. No, I don't think I would. If they come pick me up and say, we'll take you if you want to go. I ain't going.
Great question from one of our new listeners in our chat room. Do men in black still exist?
People seem to see them. I get reports all the time of people who have had an encounter with a UFO or some unknown craft, or even an unknown or otherworldly being, and for whatever reason, these people show up, these men in black, and they're usually dressed in black. Sometimes it's not like the old fedora and everything like they used to, but the one main characteristic that's usually consistent is they got olive colored skin. They act really weird, act robotic like. I think the men in black are the cleanup crew for the aliens. I don't think it has anything to do with the U.S. government or anything. I think when people see things that they're not supposed to see, or something showed up that wasn't supposed to be seen, I think that's the cleanup crew, because they usually show up pretty quick. They usually show up before the person even has the thought of even reporting something like that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm wondering if we're seeing, because of the UFO game going on right now, and I call it a game because I don't think it's disclosure whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But I really think that because UFOs are now in the presence of everything, it really makes me wonder whether or not there is still a job for the men in black.
Oh, I think there is a place for them. I think people do have these encounters and still do. It seems that most cases that have been described to me by experiencers that have had these beings show up, they are traumatized by it. They're scared, and why they come forward many times is beyond me. Because if they did what they did to them, what they would do to me, if they do that to me, I don't think I'd say much. But some people are just inclined to report it. I think a lot more people have these encounters that come forward, because I think this is still very prevalent.
I think so too.
Mhm.
I just have a tough time believing they're still out there. I think they were at one point. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's been some great photos over the years of Men in Black. There's been great encounters that have been caught on tape that are just high strangeness. But I'm just wondering, because of the fact that UFOs are out there now on a more public scale, if they're not hauling back a lot of these equations. And the one thing where I think it gets blown out of proportion, Lon, not to, put a damper on the subject,
Mhm.
but I've been doing this for 8 years. You've been doing this for a long time, much longer than I have a really tough time when you see a podcaster or a YouTuber with like less than 200 followers or subscribers claiming how, they got the knock on the door, or they were followed by black vehicles or helicopters over their house. And here I'm thinking, I know for a fact, due to insiders, that there are people right now in Washington, D.C., in some alphabet agency listening to this show. I know that 100%. Okay, that it's happening on a nightly basis. And
Mhm.
the idea that I've never been followed, never got the knock on the door, never been threatened, I I feel a little left out compared to some of these people with less than
I remember you
200
saying this once
subscribers.
before, and I've had 3 encounters with the alphabet agencies, and it's not a fun thing. I mean, I would rather not have it, but I guess they find it necessary to say something to you. I've backed off each and every time they've come to me. It's not fun. It's one instance is really scary, but the first time I had no idea what I was going through. But yeah, well, I told you the story about the ones that came to my doctor's office. So
yeah, well, all I'm saying is, Old Davy can be bought. It's real simple. Real simple. Just write me a check. Write me a check. One final question, Lon, from Blackbird Immaculate. Are you familiar with the beast of the land between the lakes, where the campers found mutilated?
Yeah,
If so, your
I'm familiar with the story. I actually wrote about it a couple of weeks ago. I had so many people asking me, and I decided, well, I'm going to go back and get the original story and post it. And it's a long post, but I did. I went back and got the full, the full thing. I mean, and I actually had some people I contacted, and I asked them, give me the real story. What supposedly happened? And after reading it and after writing it again, because I think I did it years and years ago, I just don't believe it happened. I mean, something may have happened, but to the degree that it was supposed to be, people have been mutilated, and I don't know if that really happened or not. Some people swear by it, but you got to show me some more than just the story. The story is so legendary now. It's almost like taken as fact, and I just don't see it.
Lon, I want to say a big thank you for everything that you have done for Spaced Out Radio here in 2022. I think you are a very stand-up guy. You're very truthful with everything that you bring to the table, and it's been an absolute pleasure this year in getting to know you and what you're all about, learning more about phantomsandmonsters.com and all your great books you have out there. Thank you so much for making 2022 a great year for Spaced Out Radio tonight, my man.
Well, it's my pleasure, and let's just hope 2023 is better.
Well, I think it will be. And we'll be talking to you, and we're going to get it up publicly right now. You're going to continue this in 2023 with us.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Perfect. And that's why we love you, my friend. All the best on New Year's Eve. And thank you, my friend, for being a big part of what we do.
Glad to be here. Thanks again.
Phantomsandmonsters.com, Lon Strickler. You can find his books on his website or on Amazon. Coming up next to kick off hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. We got a great story from Swamp Dweller. Then little Granty Baker is going to join us filling in for the Timbit on the UFO report. We continue right after this. Great show, Lon. Great show as per usual, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
No problem. Anytime.
Well, anytime is taco time as well, you know. You have yourself a good one, my man.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I really do. I mean, I enjoy doing your show.
Well, we love you here, man. We love you. Doug Shelby says it best. Butch would definitely approve, just like us. Absolutely would. Amen to that, man. Amen to that. And I'll let you go because I know it's late where you are, my friend. But have a great New Year, and
you too.
Much love to you and your family. And we'll talk to you next year.
Yeah, keep in touch. We'll talk soon.
Will do. Take care.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Lon Strickler, everyone. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. We love him around here. We're going to take a little break. I'm going to bring in our main man, the Grantavius Maximus, to entertain you guys. Grant, I'm going to just step away for a couple of seconds here. Your goatee is looking fantastic, nice and tight. Needs a little bit more fill in on the sides there. It looks a little thin, but that's okay. That's okay. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm going to be honest. It's never connected my whole life. Yeah. 43 years old, no connection. Hey, it is what it is.
It happens. It happens.
Oh my goodness. You go
love
take a break.
Love, how you doing? I'll be right back, dude. You have fun with the audience.
I got you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. This is not the after hours. This is the one real deal. Oh my gosh. Let's see who's in there. Penny Van. Hi. And yes, Midwest Night Watchers. How you doing? Good seeing you. Let's see who else we got in here tonight. Oh my gosh. Glenn Dennison. Good seeing you as well, my friend. Yeah, tonight's going to be Chiro Sounds. Good seeing you as well. Good seeing everybody. I am not supposed to be here, but I am. So I'm taking a little bit of a time taking away from Dave's show just so I can come on here and flex my muscles. Hi, Susan Place. Good seeing you as well. I have no muscles, my little pea shooters. But cat tacos. That does sound interesting. We won't get into that, though. So, Joe, we'll just leave that one alone. Jessica S., good seeing you as well. Hope everybody had a great holiday. We had a lot of fun here. We had 2 Christmases and lots of toys. I buy my children toys, and I buy the ones that I like to play with. And that way, if they're bored with them, they get handed down to yours truly. So, Merry Christmas to you, Kira. Love you. It's good seeing you. Jamie Johnson, good seeing you as well. Hello to you. And what is it? Jorgen Johansson, good seeing you as well. It's those names. I'm going to butcher every one of them. I'm not even supposed to be here today, Blackbird. I'm not. But I'm taking the advantage because we didn't do the after hours show this last weekend. We won't be doing it this next weekend because obviously New Year's, you do not want to see me New Year's Eve. Trust me. You don't. If I went on the show, YouTube wouldn't even allow it on that night because that's when my mouth gets away and a little bit of the fermented beverages, so to speak, interact with the bloodstream, and I'll go a little haywire. But no, I hope everybody's had a great Christmas. I hope every single one of you have a great New Year. Let's see what we got here. Fred Flintstone gift. I didn't do the Fred Flintstone gifting this year. In fact, I did something completely different. I don't know if you know what Ulta is. Ulta is a place that women love to go to. You can buy 2 items and spend $500 there. So I got a gift card for my wife for there, as well as an hour and a half long massage. And this is what I call the Pamper Christmas. I bought her probably about $350 worth of like those weird candles. It took me forever to find them too. The ones with the wooden wicks. They keep me up. If you leave one lit on the dresser, they crackle. But she loves them, so I bought her a dozen of them, as well as everything else you can imagine. And then the creme de la creme was a little package that I had hidden in the tree. And it was from the local jewelry store that we have here in Southern Oregon. And I bought her, she likes white gold, so I got her white gold, and I got her these really nice, pretty big, the 1/4-inch diamond white gold, 14 karat solid gold earrings. And I was completely beside myself because I bought my Mercedes for less than I paid for those earrings. But oh well. Hello, Robert. How you doing, my friend? Good seeing you as well. Angels are life. Good seeing you. Hello to you. And here we go. We're going to have some fun.
Hey, we got 10 seconds here, my man. Here we go.
For all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are during this holiday season. Thank you to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quatant. Quatant is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. This story takes place 1 year ago when I lived in the backwoods of Georgia. I now live in Wyoming. It's much better here. My name is Patrick. I'm 17 now, but this happened when I was 16 years old. And this is hard for me to write because it still scares the hell out of me to this day. My friends Mark, CJ, and Chelsea and I were going to spend the night together because my brother was at his friend's house and my mom and dad were going to be out of town for the next week. I must note I was 16, Mark was 15, and Chelsea was the same age as me. CJ was 17, and he had his license. Because I lived in the backwoods, CJ drove Mark and Chelsea to my house. The first 3 hours were just fine and regular. We watched movies, played some PS4 games, and browsed Netflix until midnight. At this point, we were browsing the internet looking for creepy paranormal stories and videos. Mark is a believer, and so am I and Chelsea. But CJ, he's a skeptic, but we still liked him because he was cool. He is a more badass punk rock version of Tom Cruise. And I say Tom Cruise because he was about 5'4". Mark is 5'6", Chelsea is 4'10", and I am 6'4". I am the tallest. My dad is an ex-Marine. He is a badass. At 70 years old, he is 6'4" and can still take on just about anyone. And I definitely got my height from my dad. Had I not been tall and robust and strong, my friends and I would not be alive today. Here's why. We were sitting alone, and my dog went nuts out of nowhere. I grabbed my dad's shotgun because my house was on a back road in the woods. The nearest person was 5 miles away, and my property had a no trespassing sign, and private property signs were posted everywhere. It's very clear to see. So I look outside and see nothing. Then I hear a sound that sends chills down my spine even as I write this. I said, "What the heck is that?" CJ comes running outside. I hand him my mom's pistol, and just as we get ready to walk back into the house, I see something run into the woods. CJ and I run after it with our guns and flashlights. After about 15 minutes, CJ goes, "Shh, quiet." Then he points at something. It takes me a minute to see what it is. Then, after my eyes adjust, I see it. I open fire, and then CJ starts shooting as well. I stop and tell him to stop soon after. We hear a scream coming from the house. CJ and myself run back to the house faster than I think we've ever have before. It was almost like we were track and field stars at this point. We hear that god-awful sound again. CJ and I run into the back door. We find Mark and Chelsea in the corner of the room. Chelsea was crying and said, "What was that?" We all had shock on our faces. And when I looked at my dog, Sarah, who is a 10-year-old black lab, she is the best dog ever, I saw her hiding behind my dad's chair, and there were 3 long and deep claw marks along her side. We spent the rest of the night in the upstairs bedroom with all of the doors locked. When the sun came up, we went outside with my dad's shotgun and searched the backyard. I found 2 large giant footprints where I saw that thing run into the woods. I told CJ and Mark, but not Chelsea. I ended up staying at CJ's place for the next couple of days because I was so freaked out. Then my mom and dad came home one day. It was about dinner time. When Dad and I talked in the living room, I told him exactly what happened. He said I probably saw a Wendigo. Mark just told me he had stage 4 cancer. He only has 6 months to live, so I figured I would share this story.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, coming in and telling us spooky events from around the world. If you want more, you can always go to his channel, Swamp Dweller Reads. That's Swamp Dweller Reads at YouTube. Go click on it, hit subscribe. He's got thousands of stories just like that for free. And we love it when he kicks off hour 3 of this show each Monday through Friday night. Thank you, Swampy. And from the swamp to the stars, let's hit the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Filling in for a vacationing little Timmy Senor, we got Grantavius Maximus, otherwise known as Grant Baker, from our After Hours show on the weekends here on Spaced Out Radio. Having a weekend off due to Christmas. He'll be off again with the team this coming weekend because of New Year's, but they'll be back strong, large, and in charge on the weekend show the weekend after the first full weekend in January of 2023. Mr. Maximus, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, my friend? It's good seeing you tonight.
It is good seeing you tonight, and I appreciate you filling on in. How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was absolutely amazing, and I hope everybody out there who's listening to this show had an amazing Christmas, as well as this New Year's that is directly upon us.
I know. Hey, man, we are just 5 months away from our Vegas party. 5 months.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Last year's was absolutely epic and amazing. There was a ton of amazing people that showed up, as well, from fans to experiencers. You know, we even had Science Bob dressed up, Linda Moulton Howe. I mean, it was great. It was amazing. So anybody that wants to come to the next, the Vegas party that we're going to have, trust me, it is more than worth every penny that you might spend to get there. But once you get there, you'll understand. It is absolutely epic. I love it, and I cannot wait.
I cannot wait either. And, we're getting more and more people coming on in and wanting information. And, we kind of have a timeline planned out. Mm-hmm. Our VIPs are going to have a VIP party on the Friday night. And if you want to be a VIP, we'll get more information to you at info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. If you're coming, you want to be a VIP, we'll get you that information. And, and then we got the 6 to 7 hour YouTube show that we're going to do on the Saturday. We're going to have a poker event. We're going to have a sky watch after the YouTube show, out in the desert of Nevada. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely great, man. I cannot wait to meet up with our fans once again. And you know what? It's been a big year of 2022 for Spaced Out Radio. We're starting to gain a lot of listenership. We gained over 20,000 subscribers. We broke that a couple of weeks ago on our YouTube channel, and our numbers are going up. And, it's a big thank you to everybody who's really paying attention to what we are doing 7 days a week here. And Grant, you and Danielle and Nick have done a great job in really solidifying what we are doing on the weekends, along with Jessica Jones. And we're adding another member to your team.
Yes.
Which is going to be great. Gentleman by the name of Marquise Williams. Marquise will actually be my guest tomorrow night. We're going to introduce him on the show because he's an experiencer, and he is someone who is very much into the UFO world, and he is graciously going to be joining the After Hours team and just solidifying everything that you guys do.
It's going to be amazing because I've had the opportunity, as well as you have, to talk to Marquise, and Marquise is a shining star. He is the diamond in the rough when it comes to the epicness of his nature. I encourage everybody, if you haven't watched the After Hours show, go to it when Marquise is on it, especially tomorrow night when he's going to be with you, Dave. He is absolutely amazing. I love his straightforwardness. He's a gentleman among scholars, and I'm so excited to have him on the team. You have no idea. I'm like literally like, yes, we need him. He's great. I love it. Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Well, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And, he's going to be helping us out quite a bit and helping us move forward here. And, that way, if our After Hours, say somebody wants to take a night off, we still have a full crew there, and everybody's going to be, going hard, because our goal this year is to bring the After Hours show into podcast form and onto the terrestrial radio side as well. Because I know I've had a couple of inquiries from radio stations saying, hey guys, is there any chance that we could get some weekend programming, because it's really taken off here with Spaced Out Radio on our radio stations, and we'd like a little bit more. I mean, if that's a good problem to have, that is fantastic. We could cure that. We could totally cure that. By the way, before we go any further, let's give a shout out to one of our real loyal listeners that's in our chat room all the time. Love V Love, happy birthday to you. And we're going to send you some love from the SOR team here, and very much appreciate you tuning us in on your birthday. And maybe during the break, we'll sing you some happy birthday. We're always good for something.
I will definitely sing happy birthday. In fact, Love, Vanessa, I will personally sing you happy birthday. Look in your messenger later. I got you, girl.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. 2022 has been another up and down year for UFOs this year. We've had some great stories. We've had some great news. We've had some questionable stories, and we've had a lot of controversy as well. And you were able to find an article that kind of blends it all together here, Grant.
I did. And for anybody that's wondering, this is at spaced.com. This is where I found the article. It actually has 10 points of reference that you can look at 2022 as a whole. And in fact, it covers a little bit of 2021 and even a little bit of 2020. But it brings it into more of a coexistence of what exactly is going on today, from declassified UFO reports. This is the turning point year of UAP, UFO, including the DoD, NASA, the United States government, globally. This is the year that we should all be lucky to be alive in.
True enough. And going through this report, we look at everything has really taken somewhat of a how can we put it? A real scientific side of everything. Everybody wants to know the science of everything that's kind of going on, about the nuts and bolts, how are these craft made? How can we calculate their speed, their trajectory, their movement, everything that goes along with it. We're seeing a lot of that.
We are. And in fact, speaking about science, there's a science director of the Center of UFO Studies in Chicago. And there was a quote from him. And he says the effort of, or actually the effort to detect, track, and measure the UFO phenomenon in a field in real time it's really entered a new phase. And the technology has gotten better. Software tools have improved, and the current interest in UFOs has attracted new and, quite frankly, qualified professionals. So we're in a time right now where science is really getting on board for the first time with UAP and UFOs. And as a consequence, and he's even stated this, that we'll have even more evidence. I mean, really, as if we needed it, that UFO phenomenon is real and can be studied scientifically. So, I mean, this is a major step. This is a good stepping stone year for our field. I mean, you have people that have been in this for decades. And 2022, in fact, starting in 2021, we're finally getting there. We're making leaps, not just baby steps. We're making full strides in this field. And I can't wait to see where this culminates to.
Well, the only question I have in regards to this is this. How much science can be done without a crash retrieval?
Good question.
Right now, to me, and this is just my opinion, Grant, and we're going to go through all 10 of these tonight. For me, the big question that I have is, outside of mathematics, where we can calculate the speed, the trajectory, the G forces, maybe we got lucky on radar material. We don't know what these craft are. We don't know if they're ours. We don't know if they're theirs being otherworldly. We can only assume right now. And I have a real tough time in letting this subject go into the hands of nuts and bolts scientists when we sit here and we are just looking at mathematics, not the physics behind it, not the touching feeling part about it, even though we know that there are crash retrievals that are being hidden.
So you said something about physics.
Physics is the natural science that studies matter. It's fundamental.
Well, thank you, Siri.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I don't understand why she does that. No one said anything. I said, just to understand. You spoke about physics, and then all of a sudden, thanks. They're always listening, people. So we don't understand the physics. And to be quite frank about this, we don't even understand 80% of what's under our oceans. We have a generalized, in my mind, theory of the physics that we live by, but I don't think that we understand completely the physics of the universe. We do know that water is what ultimately creates life. If there's water on the surface of a planet, life in some way, shape, or form is going to happen. We understand that type of physics. But when it comes to certain other aspects of it, I don't think we understand. When you have President Joe Biden, who signed a $768.2 billion national defense bill this year, a lot of that money was allocated to trying to figure this out. Granted, the DoD of the United States and plenty of other countries see these things, and of course, you can call it what it is. We don't understand what they are. They defy our natural physics. That means we have a fundamental flaw in our thinking of physics. Now, I'm not a scientist, but realistically, something's wrong there, and we need to figure it out. And that's where scientists should come into the picture and be like, okay, what is really going on here and how is this going on? And then we're going to have a reclassification of physics.
Well, and I agree with you. I think this subject could touch brand new science that we've never explored before. My question is, how are we getting there when there is nothing to touch, to feel, to take apart? Okay, unless they, being the US government or the military, allows us to do that. That is my concern with everything. Because right now, with, basically what science and the government has said is they've said to people like you, Grant, or to Richard Dolan, or to Grant Cameron, or to every experiencer out here, you don't matter. We've got this now. We'll take care of it. You just go off and do your own thing. We'll worry about the UFOs, and we'll worry about what they are. We'll worry about, what they're all about. Are they coming down here? Well, because we're the good guys here. We're into this investigation. I mean, you look at the crap with NASA. You look at the crap with the Navy, basically saying we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're done with this topic. Okay, I mean, we're not going to win. I hate to be the black sheep here. Okay, but we're not going to win in this subject, man.
We're not. And as just recently you had Grant Cameron on your show, which I encourage anybody to listen to, and he had spoke of a story about, asking that particular question. And it's like, oh, it's just your curiosity. Why would we change everything that we're doing for your curiosity? They're not. It's a multi-billion-dollar program. They're gaining something. The United States military, the DOD, wants to weaponize everything from toothpaste to dental floss. I mean, they're not going to tell us anything until, I hate to say it, until it is 100% undeniable. If something happens that they can't cover up, that the world sees, then the cat's out of the bag. But until then, their whole, anybody that lives in the United States knows this. They're trying to weaponize air. They're not going to let us know. Where our curiosity is not enough for them to declassify anything. So why not? They're just going to make money off of it. Look at NASA. Right when they first started this out, $100,000. That's one person on their team's paycheck for the year. Now they're getting more involved in it. Okay, that's great. But quite literally, look at the billions of dollars in these bills that are coming through. That even Biden, the United States president, does not even want to talk about UFOs. He doesn't want to talk about UAPs or anything to do with it. He says, go ask the last president. Go ask the one before that. He doesn't have time for it, but he's still signing those bills and he's still passing them. That's the footprints in the sand. That's what's telling you, okay, they're taking this seriously. Whether we know about it or not, they're taking it seriously.
Very true. That is a great point as we get ready to head to the second point of this tonight. Declassified UFO reports. I don't know if we're going to see any more, coming on out, but this was a part of 2022, man. We got 30 seconds.
There's 1,574 pages of UFO-related reports, and that material has been out there. In fact, it was given to a newspaper. So, and they even talk about ATIP. It's out there, and that 1,574 pages is not even the tip of the iceberg. It's not even the tip of the iceberg.
No, that it is not. And we need to understand that the majority of this information that is coming out, they can talk about how these reports are coming out and everything. But are you seeing it? Am I seeing it? Is the public seeing it? No, it's not. We're going to get more into the top 10 UFO studies, courtesy of space.com. Grant Baker tonight on the UFO Report. Stay tuned. More UFO talk when we return for the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio next. Very cool, man. Good start. Good start.
Heck yeah, dude. And we're not even started yet.
Oh, we're getting ready.
Oh, man.
We are getting ready.
You know, I remember 10 years ago when I was talking to people about UFOs and any kind of landings that happened and books that were written, and people were like, oh, well, what's going on? I remember when, what was it? The French came out with all their reports on UFOs. And I kept saying, as soon as they opened all their archives up, I was like, you see that? Everybody's going to be doing that. And they're like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, they're waiting to see who has the smoking gun. And I guarantee you it's the United States. I guarantee you we're the ones with the smoking gun. We're also the world's longest lying government.
Well, you know what? We can only hope, man. We can only hope that it comes to fruition. That's all we can do. And hopefully it comes down to it. Hopefully, eventually there is going to be some sort of break. There will be. I mean, the cover-up can't go on forever. And, behind the scenes, hey, Mark Smith and Tokeland, how you doing, guys? Anybody else come in here that I missed? No, well, we're caught up there. I've been talking behind the scenes with a few people here about, Tim and I were talking last week about the idea that, what the public needs here is a watchdog type of group that can disseminate not only for the public, but for the media, what is good, what is bad, and what doesn't work and what does work for these bills and the news that is coming out. Like up here in Canada, we have a group called the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And part of their job, whether you agree with them or not, but part of their job is to actually, hey, Nathan from the Quantum Show, how you doing, bud? Part of their job is to watch every budget of the provincial governments, and then they watch what the federal government does with their budget, and then they break it down for the taxpayers and the media, saying, look, this is good, this is not good, this works for many people, this may not work for people in the West. They break it all down like that. And I think we need something like that within the UFO community, because there are a lot of brains out there right now, guys, that are being silenced, okay, because we're UFO people. You got to realize the majority of people in Washington, D.C., they don't like us. They don't like this type of programming that we are bringing to you. They don't like other radio shows, podcasts, YouTube channels like this. They don't want they don't want this story out. They want the toys for themselves. And UFOs, realistically, guys, is one of the first topics to really push publicity to the military-industrial complex. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong, okay? But that's my opinion. And we need to be able to get the proper message out because, look, we know the mainstream media has done a terrible job in covering this story. They have. They've tried, but they've done a piss poor job. They really have. Why? Well, there's a number of reasons that we don't have time for. We could go over that after the show when we're doing the editing. Remind me of that, Grant, if you're going to stick around. But, what a sort of watchdog group would be is trying to explain to the public and to the media what is right and what is wrong about this. about the cover-ups, about the fact that this is confirmation, not disclosure. That your opinion right now, as a UFO enthusiast, maybe an eyewitness, maybe an experiencer, means nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. All my experiences mean nothing. Grant's experiences mean nothing right now because the government has taken over. Don't we need a watchdog on that? Thank you tonight to our good friend William, Thomas, Louis ×3, Stephen, Deb, Ozzy, and Royal Morning Blue for the super chats tonight. Here we go, everyone. Round and third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the UFO report, filling in for Tim Senor, Grant Baker from our After Hours show on our YouTube channel. Grant, thank you so much for being here. We are going through Space.com's top 10 stories of UFOs in 2022 and declassified UFO reports. Grant, we saw a lot of reports come out. We know that there is over 1,500 pages of UFO-related material, except here's the problem. Late this summer, the United States Navy basically said, we're not playing this game anymore.
Yep.
You're not getting any more videos. You're not getting any more whistleblowers coming out. We don't want to talk about it anymore. They just basically took their ball and went home. How is this going to affect things going in 2023?
I don't think it's going to affect us that much, to be honest with you. The Navy, obviously, we have the Air Force, which has never said anything. Nobody's gotten a peep out of them. Even we've had people like Chris Mellon who put them on blast a few months back, and still nothing. It's not going to stop the ball rolling forward. Yeah, you're gonna sit there as a Navy, as a part of the defense for the United States. You're gonna shut up. That's great. Whatever. You're not gonna stop individuals in the Navy. Part of the recruits that are in there. People that are serving for the country. They're still gonna see this stuff, and some of them, there's so many people in that branch of our military, they're not going to sit there and be quiet. I have no doubt that there's still going to be recordings. There's still going to be people that are coming out to say something. If they're not going to play ball as one of our branches of our military, that's fine. We already have another branch of the military that's not playing ball. It's not going to stop the can getting kicked down the road, so to speak. I mean, even then, you have people like ATIP, which everybody knows operated from 07 to 12, and they had 42 medical cases and 300 unpublished cases of human sustaining injuries after these encounters with UFOs and UAPs. It's out there. You can't stop this. If you have them being quiet and they don't want to play this game, so to speak, anymore, that's fine. Go ahead and pull your whatever you want out of the game. It's not going to stop what's coming. It's not going to stop it. Period. In fact,
it may not stop it, but it could delay it.
You know how many people don't believe in the DoD? They think everything that comes out of the Pentagon or any part of the Department of Defense is just a bunch of malarkey anyway. It's a game, is all it is. It's just one big game. The way we're going to get disclosure, it's not going to be from the Department of Defense. It's not going to be from the Pentagon. It's not going to be from the United States government by any means. It will literally be by every single one of us, or until the day that a spaceship literally just parks itself in our atmosphere where every single news channel can get a hold of it, and then it's done. But realistically, individuals are seeing this exactly what I'm talking about all the time, every day. Just hasn't caught on yet. We haven't had that smoking gun on film live like movies in Hollywood. So just because the Navy pulls out, that's fine. The government hasn't pulled out. And as we watch the amount of money the United States government is pouring into this, you don't need the Navy to tell you that it's real. They've already proven. Disclosure is in the money. Follow the money. Watch where it's going. Watch what they're saying. It's real. They believe it's real. If they don't want to talk about it, that's fine. What they're doing, it's not what they're saying. What they're doing is proving that this is not only a phenomenon, but it's one that they're taking seriously.
And I agree 100% with your statement there. You know, the issue is when it comes to the public, and what the public has, I think, a right to know in what is going on. This is where it gets a little haywire for me, because I can understand, look, there's a lot of technology at play here. Okay, there's a lot that could advance humanity into stratospheres that we don't even know, Grant. But as long as it is being used for the military industrial complex, we're in trouble. We are in complete trouble with getting the truth about this subject. We have, as people of this planet, a right to know whether or not there have been other civilizations that have contacted us. We have a right to know where those signals have come, because next to Jesus Christ himself coming down from the heavens, this is the next big thing that will affect every person on this planet.
Absolutely.
Everyone. All right. Including our unborn children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. What's the future hold? We don't know. We don't know, because it's being kept from us. I mean, wouldn't you like to know, Grant, as an American citizen, whether or not your country has been in contact with extraterrestrials?
Oh, 100%.
I would if I knew Canada did.
Absolutely, 100%. I would love to know. I think it's our right to know. I think that, and this, I don't like getting political, but I do think that the line in the sand, so to speak, when it comes to certain governments has been crossed by miles. And we are now in a position where we're stuck. We have governments now that think that they know better than we do. You know, you have, like Jesus Christ, you have the Bible or whatever you believe in. I don't care what it is or who your saint is. There's a belief system there, and it's freely given. But if you're going to hold back the fact that there's other living beings out there, other people that live on different planets, like, it makes no sense to me. Why hold it back? Is it money? Is it power? Is power and knowledge? Like, how long is that going to last?
I agree.
You're going to create a collapse. You're going to fail as a government institution. Once the knowledge comes out, you're done. And that might be the reason why they're holding it back, is because they knew they made the mistake way back when. They've been lying to us this whole time, trying to not create that collapse, because once the knowledge comes out, they know that they're finished.
All right, let's move on to the next one. The Fermi paradox.
Yeah.
Tell us what this is.
Well, I don't know if anybody's ever read up on the Fermi paradox. And I mean, if there's a civilization that's intelligent enough to develop space travel, I mean, we're intelligent enough to go to the moon or Mars. We know how to do space travel. But when it comes to other species doing it, there's going to be a point where their energy demands would outpace innovation. Basically, their scientific, like right now, we're in an era where you have a computer in your pocket that, like my Apple iWatch right here, this Apple Watch is more powerful than when we went to the moon last time back in the 60s. This has more computing power. There's going to be a point where their civilization gets to a technological advantage, but their energy consumption is way too much. So alternatively, if there is another civilization out there that can maintain equilibrium, and they're going to be stagnating as a result, either that or they're going to be doomed. And to avert that, they could undergo what they call a I'm going to screw this up, how do you say that? Homeostatic awakening.
There you go.
There we go. Got the word right. Thank you, everybody. But it's where they're going to redirect their production away from growth across the stars and societal well-being to sustainable development and environmental harmony, so to speak. But with the ability to spread across the stars being sacrificed. So basically, you're either going to advance scientifically and go to significant power reduction, and you're going to be doomed, or you can know, like, look, we have gotten onto this plane. We know how to do all this. Now we have to get into a homeostasis, a level playing field where, because right now humanity and science has definitely gone well past humanity.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one. A climate alert to aliens. Aliens bringing climate change, and it affects both?
This is where scientists have actually asked for help because of climate change. And everybody knows about METI, or, well, if you don't know, it's Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence International. That's called METI, METI. And it's basically, we're sending out a signal to TRAPPIST-1. Anybody can look this up. It's a planetary system which has 7 Earth-like planets, one of them being in what we call the Goldilocks zone. And we're sending out a signal saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on with our planet. If you have any way to help us, please send us information back on how we can fix what's going on in our little planet. So, and there's actually a quote from METI, and this is Douglas Volkoch, I think, Volkoch, whatever. And there's a quote, and he says, alien or any aliens receiving our message won't be surprised to hear about our climate crisis. And they've had decades to observe our planet from afar, which may or may not be true. But realistically, what we're doing is we're sending out a message saying, hey, we need help. Our planet's in trouble. We're in crisis. What do we do? But the problem is when you have a planet that's 39 light years away, which is where TRAPPIST-1 is, it takes 78 years for the round trip. And that's saying that they got our signal, responded to it immediately, and sent one back in the way we send signals. It takes 78 years to get that message back. So it's a message for help.
I got you. Well, let's see if they can help us clean up the air here. Let's move on to the next one. Alien signals, not so fast, because as of 2022, SETI has found nothing after 40 plus years.
Yeah, there's everybody, this is actually that big dish in the ground with the 5 radio or 6 radio towers around it, the one that's been in movies. It's called FAST. It's 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope. And so we send these signals out. Well, some of these things are so sensitive that we're receiving signals back, but there's only been 3 narrow band radio signals that seem they came back between 19 and today, so 2019 and today. They were exciting initially, but it's really something that we don't know what they are. And there's a quote there as well, where several cases of possible technological traces of ET civilizations from outside the Earth, but this is not something that we're able to say legitimately that it's from an extraterrestrial source. The big problem, and the problem of this particular case, is that we're looking for signals from ETs or other beings, but what they're finding is just a ton of signals from us via your cell phone, whether it's radio stations, everything. I mean, they're very weak signals, but these things are, the telescopes are super sensitive and can pick up everything: television, radar, satellites, phones, back in the day, pagers. Like, literally, this thing's picking up everything. So it's really hard for them to weed through that kind of mess to see if something's actually coming from outer space. So it's
I disagree. SETI has been doing zero work for the last 40 years, or they've been doing a lot of cover-up work for the last 40 plus years. Okay. It's just like Tim and I discussed. The minute Seth Stoshak, who's one of the top scientists at SETI, went and joined the Galileo project, I knew the Galileo project was nothing. It was nothing, because here's a guy who spent 40 years working for NASA looking for any signals whatsoever. There's UFOs all around the astronauts, every rocket that's gone up.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has ever caught a signal at SETI. Yeah, sure. We got to boot through here. The Dyson Sphere Hangouts. Do we really need to discuss that? That's with the astronomers looking for Dyson spheres around white dwarfs to see if they can find any more Goldilocks zones. Yeah, fine. And number 7, the most useless sighting, or the most useless study going on right now that for some reason is being given credence, the NASA UFO study.
Oh gosh, the exploring the unknown. Good old NASA. Thank you so much for muddying the waters. And I love NASA for the great pictures and the live YouTube videos that we do, but when it comes to anything that has to do with this field, I'm gonna just say that my understanding of it is bunk. I think that they have the sensors and the ability to tell us exactly what's going on, where they're at, when they're there, everything. And I think this is just a runaround. I think it's a money-making scam. I mean, I'm right there in agreement with you.
If there was ever a time where we should be able to swear on the radio, it has to do with NASA and this entire study that they are doing. It is a waste of money. They already know. They're refusing to check their own closets, and they are refusing to acknowledge that they have any play in it whatsoever. Don't believe it from me. Go listen to what their own astronauts have said. Their own astronauts. And even Elon Musk recently, who says that his rockets are being followed. Number 8, search for alien artifacts. This is another joke coming out because we hear there's crash retrievals from Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, and many others. What more do we need?
When you're talking about crash retrievals, this has been going on obviously this year was the 75th anniversary of Roswell. We don't need alien artifacts. We already have them. In fact, if you listen to Grant Cameron, they have a fully functioning ship, but can't figure out how to turn it on because of whatever they need, consciousness or something. But realistically, this is what really just bakes my cake, because I don't even care how long this has been happening. It's been happening for millennia. They've left things on this planet. They're gifting us things in certain cases. There's no way, if people believe this is 100% nuts and bolts, that a spacecraft's going to fly billions or even hundreds of light years, come here and crash into what? Some kind of building, a watershed, or it's not going to happen. They're gifting this stuff. And the fact that they want to sit there and poke us in the eye with the first report that we got saying, oh yeah, we figured out that one of them out of the 144 was a weather balloon. Come on, guys.
Of course it was. Of course it was a weather balloon. What else can it be? We only got 1 minute here. The next two are airborne clutter and number 10, exoplanet potentials for for life. Look, we already know that there are literally hundreds of planets within what we would call a Goldilocks zone out there. So we haven't proven anything or any signals off of that. Airborne clutter, this is for people who believe that, everything we're seeing is space junk. It's not.
No.
It's not. Too many people aren't that stupid. And, the one thing of this all that this report says is, and it really reiterates to me as someone who breaks it on down, there's a lot of dumb going on regarding this subject. And we have to do our best as Spaced Out Radio and other shows that are out there like ours to stop giving credence to the dumb. That's all we can do. Our audience is not stupid. The people who have had experiences are not stupid. Eyewitnesses are not stupid. They know what they saw. And until that's addressed, we're going to continue down the same road. Grant, thank you so much for filling in for little Timmy Senor on the UFO report. It's always a pleasure to hook up with you. And I want to say a big thank you tonight to Swamp Dweller for another great story. And from phantomsandmonsters.com, Lon Strickler coming on in for the final strange days of 2022 and filling in this year for Butch Witkowski, who passed back on January 13th of this year. We miss him dearly, but Lon has done just an incredible job at filling on in for the big shoes that Butch wore each and every time he came on this show. And thank you to all of you for tuning us in as well. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Spreaker, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Strong show, my man.
Hell yeah, dude. I always love watching that. You had a great guest on tonight as well, so it was amazing.
Yeah,
and
Lon's a great dude.
I love him. It was so fun talking to him before the show as well, and getting, picking his brain a little bit on a few things. So yeah, I love him. He's great. You did good.
Oh yeah. Lon's a friggin' beauty.
Heck
Just
yeah,
a friggin' beauty. Uh-huh. All right, what were we going to talk about here? About we need a watchdog company.
Well,
Yeah, I am fully convinced that it is time for us to, or somebody in the UFO world, I'm not saying us, me, or Spaced Out Radio, but it is time for there to be some sort of watchdog group who can call out the BS on what's coming down. I really do believe that it's that time, and it's for the benefit of the public. It's for the benefit of everybody who's kind of coming on in. So
I mean,
that's my opinion.
realistically, though, if you have a group like that, that has to be 1,000 strong. You're gonna have to do it 24/7, 365, and then you're gonna have to have some type of affiliation that is buried, and I don't want to say a mole, but buried into the Department of Defense, especially in the United States. Like it's
Oh, I don't think so at all.
no,
I don't think so at all. No, not at all. Because all you're taking is the results that are brought public, say from the NDAA that just came out.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're breaking that down for the media. How does this affect the UFO world? You're breaking that down for podcasters. You're breaking that down for the public. And now I don't fully agree that you need people who are independent, that anybody can join, but they need to be independent. All right. That's how you build your team. You offer a thing where it's $5 a month.
Mhm.
Okay. But everybody who joins has to go through a resume process. We got to know a background history. Okay. Are you affiliated with any agencies? Are you affiliated with MUFON? Are you affiliated with any UFO reporting sites? Who are you affiliated with? Have you worked for Bigelow? Have you worked for any of these people? That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And once you start getting the no-no-nos, then you start building your team. Once your team is built, your only real cost of it is time and a website. That's
websites
it.
are cheap. Websites are super cheap. Yeah, well, you get a lot of people that actually just have the love, want, need, and desire to do something like that. I mean, even some of the people that just have, whether their own show, podcast, whatever it is, like Andy, that Andy guy, he can do it, and I watch his TikToks all the time because he's funny, but he has the want, need, and desire, and he's actually eloquent and articulate when it comes to breaking down this sort of material.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're right. Now I can see I'm changing my mind as we speak. Like it only takes a few to educate the many. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
And what you do is you create a media database. See, the problem with the media is there's a couple things wrong. And I want people to get out of their head right now just the idea that the media is bought, the media is told what to say. Okay. If you knew how a newsroom worked and the stupidity and I shouldn't say stupidity. I'm going to say the ego and the arrogance of what really goes on in a newsroom. Okay. And with news editors today. Okay. When you take a news editing job, you're being fired in a minimum of 3 years to 5 years. You're being fired.
No way. That's
okay.
crazy.
They will find some reason to gas you. Okay. And that's just the reality of what goes on in a newsroom. Okay. And the idea behind it is this: if the media knew how to cover this story, a story that they never wanted, that they don't understand how to cover, okay, we would be in a lot better situation rather than, talking about swamp gas and little green men. Okay. Because the media has always been caught off guard with the reality of this subject, they don't know what they are doing in covering it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they go back to the funny sense of sci-fi, which they think they're being funny, but in reality, what they're doing is they're butchering a very large story. Okay. Now, let's take the To the Stars Academy for a moment. One of the most brilliant things that they did for the media, and I give them credit for this, and I don't give them credit for a lot, but I give them credit for this. Okay, what they did was they went to when they first came out, okay, and they had the videos and they had everything pushing towards them. The first thing they did was they said to the media, hey, we know you guys aren't comfortable with this subject. We've got everything for you. Okay. We've got the guy who ran the UFO program who's going to speak. We've got the fighter pilot who intercepted these craft on video. So you have a pilot's perspective on it. Okay. You have all of this stuff that we are providing for you. So you don't need to go find the Stanton Friedmans or the Richard Dolans or the Linda Moulton Howes. Here, we have already provided you the story. So the media, being lazy and not knowing how to cover this topic because they've made fun of it for so many years, look at it and they say, wow, you've done our job for us. And they say, thank you. And that's how the TTSA was able to capitalize off of media. Now, fast forward, we don't have a TTSA, but the story hasn't gone away due to Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, and others. Okay. And the behind the scenes work we know has been working. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these bills. But the question to the public is, and what the media isn't asking, is what is being said behind the curtains. And that's where the trouble begins, because we're not being told what it is. And if we're not being told what it is, Grant, there's a cover-up.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a cover-up? Okay. My opinion is, like I tell everybody on this show, about there being a UFO Pandora's box that we're not allowed to see what kind of toys are in that box. Okay. And that could be crash retrievals. It could be Eisenhower. It could be Bob Lazar. It could be David Adair. It could be Area 51. It could be Shag Harbor. It could be the Aztec crash, Roswell, you name it. It could be any of those.
Or all of them.
Right? And the idea behind that I'm saying, dude, is this. If there was a UFO watchdog group out there, an independent group. So give you an example, Grant. You're not affiliated with anybody. Okay? You could join that group because you're independent.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody, and this isn't a shot at Science Bob, but Science Bob, being former CIA and NRO, could not join the group.
Correct.
Okay. Somebody who is, or because when you're in that intelligence, you're never out. Okay. That's not a slight against Science Bob. I love him to death. It's nothing that I wouldn't tell him straight to his face. Okay. If you have a scientist out there who is independent of what they're doing, then they could move forward with the group. Journalists could move forward with the group. All right. Tracy saying, sorry, Dave, disagree with you. Even on Disclosure with Louis and team that was aired on TV, they had Guy Media that said that he was sent out to pay media off to stop UFO news. I'm sorry, I don't know what that story is, so I apologize. I I'm just going by what I know from being able to work in a background scene in the newsrooms. Okay. I know what it's like to take that phone call of somebody claiming there's a UFO outside and us asking, how much have you smoked up or had to drink? Okay. I've taken those phone calls. And anyways, the point that I'm getting at is this. If there was an actual watchdog group out there that could call the bluff on reports, okay, this could clean up a lot of mess and could bring some different attention towards the not only the mainstream media, but the fringe media as well. And I think it would be a healthy thing. I really do believe it would be healthy. That's just me, though.
No, I got to agree with that. I actually do agree with that. I mean, it's anybody listening to this, please, if you want to start something like that, let me know. I'd be more than willing to enter that kind of society.
It would be interesting, that's for sure. It would be interesting. And you know what? I'm a firm believer it is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely necessary. And wouldn't it be nice to all of a sudden have a UFO story? Say Tucker Carlson covers another UFO story, but instead of interviewing Mellon or Elizondo or someone else who is pushing the narrative, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody like a Richard Dolan or a Tom Whitmore stand up on in front of camera and say, well, this is what such and this group that I'm a part of as a UFO watchdog has been able to find out.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I think that would add a lot of credence to what we are doing in bringing that knowledge to public awareness.
I would say the same thing, especially with Tom, because he's such a stoic individual, and having him, he doesn't mince words. So if you get him on a show like that, where he's like, look, this is what's going on, this is what we did, and he just brings the facts, that would push the narrative much, much quicker down the field than what's been going on today. So no, I'm 100% on your side on that one. And I like Tom. He's a great guy.
Well, we shall see. We shall see on whether or not we actually get that.
Well,
we
can only request. And
can only request and see what happens.
Exactly.
That's it. That's it. That's all we can do, buddy.
Yep.
Coffee Black. You demand, Grant. You too, Dave. Thank you, Coffee Black.
You the man too, man.
Hey, we got Coffee Black and dry toast. We've almost got breakfast made here in the SOR chat room.
All we need is one person with Eggs Benedict as their name or something of that nature, and we're good.
Oh, I like a good Eggs Benny.
Oh, man, you have no idea. I love it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I had a $27 steak tonight that was absolutely amazing. I could not believe it. Everything that they did besides the steak was horrible. I wanted non-breaded oysters. They gave me breaded fried oysters that were overcooked. All this stuff. And then I had that steak. And oh, man, they just made up. I will go there for their steaks. Grave Dog, thank you so much.
So a few years ago for my 41st birthday, my buddy Mikey and I went down to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we saw Guns N' Roses 3 times in 6 nights. It was a good time. So it was like night number 4 and it was my birthday. Okay. And no, it was after my birthday, a couple days after my birthday. I'm like, hey, we didn't go for steak dinner on my birthday because of the concert. So we're at the Mirage,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let's go find a steakhouse. Let's get a steak. He's like, cool. So we're walking along and I see this slot machine, right? And you know, sometimes a slot machine just kind of calls you. I hit that slot machine, dude. I put in $10 and like 6 minutes later, I'm cashing out like nearly $400. Like it just kept ringing and ringing. And I've never played a slot like that before. Okay. So him and I go for this steak dinner in the Mirage, man. And my bill at the end was like we're going through the menu and we're like, what the hell? I want steak and lobster. And the one meal was $156 for 40 ounces of steak and a lobster. No word of a lie, dude. This thing was like this big.
40-ounce steak.
It was a 20 ounces of T-bone and 20 ounces of prime rib.
Oh, that's what we
and
had.
They were all cut up in those real thin pieces. And then the lobster was completely shucked, you know, so the tail, the meat sitting on the tail, and it's all cut up in pieces. In the lobster claws, those are all broken up, like all the meat. And then they brought side dishes of like garlic mashed potatoes and mushrooms and asparagus, you know. And then by the time you drink, I think our bill was like $240 by the time I ended. But I will tell you, man, I have never ever had steak like that before in my life, and it was like melting when it went in my mouth, man. I never knew that, you know, that was my first experience in knowing that like real expensive steak, even though it's Vegas and the costs are obviously inflated, but real expensive steak is much better than your $17 top sirloin at the local grocery store.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Dave, and here in a few months, now that you told me that story, so there's two things in life that I live by. One is you never pass up a free beer, and two is seafood and steak. That's what you should always eat. And now that you told me the story, when we go to Vegas in a few months, you need to tell me, or we just need to go, and we'll include our wives in on this, and we're going to go eat there because I can manhandle some seafood. That's what I lived on when I was a child. So you told me the wrong story. So we're going to have a $500 night. No problem.
Oh, yeah. I'm good with that. Steam Train Mark, will you be interviewing James Fox anytime soon? Or do you think that he will only say what he has already said about Moment of Contact? I think it's a little too late to interview him on Moment of Contact. It's really weird. James Fox and I don't really have any sort of relationship. I have tried to get him on this show, and he just never, ever seems to get back to me. He seems to have his favorites that he plays or that he feels safe around. Not that that's a bad thing. I just haven't had the real opportunity yet to talk to him and get that ball rolling. But it is something, but as of right now, it would be the same as bringing in Brandon Fugel for an interview right now. There's no point to it because, nothing's going on at Skinwalker Ranch. The TV show is kind of off. And Ollie, by the way, thank you for that super chat. I try and get people as they're actually doing things rather than when they're on their own time. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hey, Dark Protocol, how you doing? Thank you for coming on in. Justin Goodearth, how you doing, man? Yeah. I can't cook $1 million steak, Justin, or $100 steak.
I can.
Can you?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I have a side and a half of beef in my freezer right now, as well as a lot more than that. And I'll tell you right now, I can make a steak on either briquettes wood flamed, I don't care. I can be out in the middle of the wilderness and cook you a phenomenal steak no matter what. I bought a Traeger, which I found to be absolutely amazing. I absolutely love them. They're really good. They're useful. You can't, if you mess up a steak on a Traeger, you fundamentally should not be cooking. They're amazing. You come to my house, Dave, I will make you whatever kind of cut steak you want. I got it all. I got ribeye, T-bone. I got everything you want. I got it all. Come to my house. I'll make you a bomb steak.
Well, maybe
Oh,
you have to do that.
No, it's not maybe. You have to. You
Maybe.
gotta virtually shake hands. There we are. Everybody's seen it. It's online. It's real. It's true.
Well, whoever gets to whoever's house first has to make sure the steaks are ready.
I got you. Well, I gotta take you fishing. I gotta make you a steak. Let's see. I got a couple places in Northern California that I have to take you. So you have to allot me at least 3 or 4 days of your time when you come down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
You can bring your boy though. Like, believe me, I got plenty of kids. He'll be 100% taken care of.
You don't have plenty of kids. Marquise has plenty of kids.
Well, that's a little different story, but
yeah. What's he? He's going. Hey, Wes H and Stevie J. How you guys doing?
I think he's got 8 kids.
8 kids, man.
8 kids. That's crazy.
8 kids between his wife and him.
Brown Dwarf, you're always welcome to come to my house at any time. You know where I live, man. 8 kids. Gosh.
That's a busy household.
I had a conversation with somebody about kids, and they're like, "Oh, I'm cool with one." I was like, "Well, you're not really a parent at one child." Well, what do you mean? I said, "Well, if a lamp gets broken, you already know who did it. If you have 2 children, that's when it becomes fun." Oh goodness! Then you become a detective. That's when life gets much more interesting. No, it's amazing. He has 8 kids, and my hat's off to him. It really does get easier, though. I got a friend that has 7 kids over where I used to live, and you do start relying on some of the older ones to take care of some of the younger ones. But it's kind of like having one dog that you have to potty train. You have to do all the work yourself. When I had my Shih Tzus, one of my older dogs had a litter of puppies, and we kept one of them, and she taught her daughter how to go out the door and go potty, and we didn't have to do it anymore. It's just like kids. Humans are kind of the same way in that essence. Like, they follow their siblings. So realistically, once you have 2 kids, that's about as hard as it gets. Once you have 3, you're still okay with a sedan. Once you have 4, you need an SUV. And that's really the only thing that changes is the transportation and logistics. And of course, everybody's going to nail me on that one. But I got 3 children, and we went to an SUV early because they had friends. And now we have everybody else's children with us too. So I can't wait to have Marquise on the show. He's such an amazing guy.
It's going to be awesome, man. Going to be awesome. Sorry, I'm just getting one of the downloads ready here.
Yeah, you do your thing, man. You do your thing. You do your thing.
That's what I do, man. I do my thing.
You're good at it. And for anybody that wants to know what Dave's like in real life, I'll give you a rundown of it real quickly. What you see on the radio show is 100% authentic and real. He does not mince words. He doesn't change in real life. So what you're seeing is the real Davey Scott. And I'll tell you what, he is really good at poker. I had to bow out early. So if you do go to Vegas, be careful when he invites you to the poker room because he'll outlast you. Of course, I'm not that great at poker, but other than that, I love you, man. And I appreciate you having me on your show tonight.
Dude, you beat me in a monster hand playing shit cards. And you sucked out on me. Hey, there's Big Tex. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for those kind words.
I love you, man.
Oh, you're all right yourself, even though you walk with a limp.
Right now I do. A really severe one, actually. It's so once I actually hit leave studio on my screen, it's going to take me a full 5 minutes to get out of this chair.
Right? I know the feeling.
It's horrible.
I know the feeling. Oh. I don't understand sometimes this whole UFO game. Just, I swear, like, sometimes I'm the only one who actually sees what's going on. But, oh well. Crap happens, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Crap happens. You know? Well, Granty Poo, it is that time of the night where we got to say goodbye, my friend.
Hey,
Appreciate you jumping on in tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was
All
good
right.
talking to you.
Hey, we hear Susie B is coming to Vegas.
Sweet.
We hear Susie B's coming to Vegas. She's getting herself a VIP. We need a bunch more. It's now time to start thinking about it. The big Christmas date is over. Now we got to start talking Vegas, people. We need you all there. May 19th to 21st. Come for a great weekend, the SOR fan party. We want you to be a part of it. And thank you, little Tommy Fessler, in his plaid shirt. Appreciate that, buddy. All right, guys. It's that time of the night where we say goodbye. So thank you so much to our super chatters tonight. Thomas ×2, Ollie, Catfish, William, Louis ×3, Stephen, Deb, Ozzy, and Royal Morning Blue. Very much appreciate the love, everyone. Very much appreciate it. We'll talk to you all tomorrow night. Marquise Williams will be our guest. And you're going to learn all about the new edition of the weekend show tomorrow night. We'll see you then, everyone. Grant, you take care. Thanks for filling on in. Absolutely. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.